Chapter 267 Chapter 267 3 Supreme Martial Artist. Chapter 267 3 Supreme Martial Artists. He didn't know what this pitch-black object was, but it carried a shocking chill. Even his burning life force was devoured. Suppress everything. In his panic, a faint voice sounded. Li Lingtian's eyes were bleeding and his face was filled with agony. It was obvious that he had forcefully used his divine consciousness. Not good, he's destroying the divine sense. No, it's forcefully circulating his divine sense. It seems like he can't control this black thing. How terrifying. Shoo! Countless super experts could see it and were incomparably shocked. This battle had already exceeded their imaginations. Any one of the 4 9th-level martial emperors could kill them. Even a supreme realm expert could only run for his life when he used the destructive power. However, this young man had blocked it. Moreover, 2 martial emperors were killed one after another. All of this was not something they dared to imagine. Just as they had said, Li Lingtian forcefully channeled his divine consciousness and mobilized the freezing meteor. Only the freezing meteor could crush 2 Tier 9 martial royal realm powerhouses at the same time. Rumble! The black object within a radius of 100 meters quickly turned around. Yan Wudi and Yan Luoyun were extremely shocked. They could only use their last bit of life force to block and destroy the object in front of them. However, the black object was too huge and could not be shaken at all. They could only watch helplessly as the black object with a radius of 100 meters pressed down on them. On the ground there was a shocking explosion. The buildings that were known to be indestructible were completely reduced to ashes in the face of this black object. Everything within 100 meters was mercilessly crushed without any resistance. In front of this black object, it was like a giant rock weighing billions of pounds crushing an ant. It gave people an unstoppable feeling, as if they were facing the might of the heavens. Countless places in soliciting Moon City exploded, and some of the formation cores suffered backlash. As if they had encountered a destructive attack, countless super experts guarding the array core spat out a mouthful of blood. The core of the formation was the most confidential place of a city, and it was also an important place to stabilize the city. For a city like Moonrise City, not even a martial honor could shake it, let alone a martial emperor. However, it had been destroyed by a black object. The dozen or so super experts guarding the array core were extremely shocked. For tens of thousands of years, Moonrise City had never suffered such a destructive blow. Destruction. Everything was destroyed. The 2 9th-level martial emperors were utterly destroyed. Not even a speck of dust was left. Yes. When Li Lingtian saw the power, he was shocked. No one knew what the black object was. Only he understood that this freezing sky meteor was 100 meters in size and weighed billions of kilograms. Not to mention a warrior, even a martial god or a true god would be crushed to death. Forcefully circulating his consciousness again, he opened the divine dragon ring and kept the freezing meteorite and the other treasures. The silver-winged flying dragon came to Li Lingtian's side and he sat on its back weakly. All the experts were shocked awake. They were all shocked when they saw everything that was destroyed. Words could no longer describe the fear in his heart. Qing Yun and Qing Ling were elated to see that Li Lingtian was not dead, and had even killed a Tier 9 martial emperor. However, they dared not go out now lest they cause trouble for their young master. I said that the Divine Pill Pavilion doesn't cause trouble, but they're not afraid of trouble either. If you don't seek death, you won't die. Li Lingtian gently wiped the blood off the corner of his mouth as the pained expression on his face intensified. After continuously using all kinds of skills, his true essence was almost exhausted. After continuously using several terrifying defenses, he even mobilized some of the dragon chi of the 3,000 worlds. No one knew how terrifying the backlash was. The current him was practically a cripple, and his divine sense was also damaged. Let's go. Li Lingtian said softly as the silver-winged flying dragon turned around and flew toward the cave abode. However, at this moment the world strangely stopped. In the distant void, a light shadow disregarded the distance between them and came slashing down at Li Lingtian. In front of this light figure there was only death and destruction. Countless experts were terrified. This was because this light figure looked light, but its power was definitely several times stronger than Yan Wudi and the other two. Supreme Realm Expert. A Supreme Realm Expert is here. It's the Yin family's revered martial artist. We're finished. Run quickly. Run your mother. The space is frozen. How can you escape like this? All the martial artists discovered the situation in the space. The arrival of a Supreme Realm Expert and the destructive attack enveloped everyone. It was obvious that he wanted to kill everyone here. Li Lingtian's face was ashen as well. He was the only one who understood the power of a martial honor. Dark Knight was a revered martial artist, and his strength was earth-shattering. In the Battle of Demonic Mountain it was only a clone of Wu Zun, but it almost took his little life. Now that a true Supreme Realm Expert had arrived, he could only wait for death in his current situation. If he was not injured, he could still struggle for a while. However, now, let alone a martial honor, a martial emperor could easily kill him. The light shadow ignored space and arrived hundreds of miles above Li Lingtian in a flash. In front of this destructive light shadow, all the martial artists did not have the slightest sense of resistance. This time it's over. Li Lingtian looked calmly at the light projection in the sky with a bitter smile on his lips. He slowly closed his eyes and waited for the destructive light shadow to kill him. In the face of such destructive power, it was useless for him to struggle. Clang! Tis! At this moment, a beautiful zither sound rang out in the air. At the same time, a faint sound appeared. The air became quiet again, and the spatial shackles disappeared. All the warriors were puzzled. Could it be an illusion? Under such a destructive attack, everyone present would be destroyed, but now there was no feeling of destruction at all. Li Lingtian was puzzled as well. He slowly opened his eyes. Where was the light and shadow in the sky? Yin Qingshan, let this matter pass. An ethereal voice sounded. The voice was extremely beautiful, like the sound of nature, giving people the illusion of entering a fairyland. However, this voice carried supreme dignity, making people not dare to underestimate or offend him in the slightest. Haha, haha. You killed a few super geniuses of my Yin family. Are you going to let it go just like that? Today he must die. A loud voice sounded. A light spot floated in the air 1,000 miles away. It was too far away, so only a small light spot could be seen. The spot of light grew bigger and bigger. In an instant, it had already arrived in the sky 100 miles away from the Divine Pill Pavilion. A green-robed elder's face was filled with rage. His entire body emitted a terrifying pressure, as if a god had descended upon the world. I will protect him today. If your Yin family is not afraid of destruction, feel free to attack. It was another tyrannical voice. The voice was tyrannical, and there was no room for resistance at all. An old man in gray floated in the air strangely, his face expressionless. It's strange. A trash disciple actually made the Wind Moon Palace and the Queen's Palace appear at the same time. Are the Wind Moon Palace and the Queen's Palace so unreasonable? Yin Qingshan was shocked. His attack was actually blocked by two true essence at the same time. Upon seeing this gray-robed elder, he immediately recognized him. This was Qing Mingho, the outer sect elder of the Wind Moon Palace in the Azure Continent. He was a second-level Supreme Realm expert. He was not afraid of the second level of the Supreme Realm. However, the Wind Moon Palace was behind him. They represented the Wind Moon Palace. Although the other person did not appear, only the Queen's Palace could cultivate such a cultivation technique. It was the Queen's Palace's heavenly sound. Whether he is trash or not, Yin Qingshan, you should know in your heart. He is not someone you can provoke. A flying ship appeared in the sky, and a woman in light clothes stood on it. The woman's clothes were light and elegant, and her head was covered by a veil, so her true appearance could not be seen. A zither floated in front of them. The zither emitted a faint spiritual energy and seemed to have no killing intent. All the warriors knew that as long as this woman moved her finger, she would launch today's destructive attack. Who is he? He actually asked the Wind Moon Palace and the Queen's Palace to protect him at the same time. From the looks of it, the two of them have been protecting him here. That's right. Otherwise, how could he have so coincidentally blocked the attack of a Wu Zun? It's getting harder and harder to see through his identity. Countless warriors looked at Li Lingtian in confusion and shock. It was unheard of for two of the three superpowers of the Azure continent to protect him at the same time. Humph, do you think that the two of you can stop our Yan family from killing him? Yan Qingshan said coldly. The Wind Moon Palace, the Queen's Palace, and any other power were not people he could afford to provoke. However, it was definitely impossible to let this matter go just like that. Even if the three of them managed to cultivate that move, they would still be no match for the 10 great clans of the Azure continent, let alone the 3 super forces. Kiki. You can try and see what this is. Can this queen kill the 3 of you? The veiled woman giggled. Her voice was like a silver bell, like the sound of nature, causing countless martial artists to be immersed in it. After saying that, an exquisite jade box appeared in front of him. An exquisite and charming zither floated in the jade box. Although this zither was not as big as the one below, it emitted a mysterious aura. All birds pay homage to the phoenix, the divine phoenix zither. When Yan Qingshan saw the zither on the jade box, his expression changed drastically, as if he had seen a ghost. The divine phoenix zither, one of the 3 great saint weapons of the Queen's Palace, could be played to summon all the beasts in the world. More importantly, it could summon the clone of the divine phoenix from the upper realm. The power of the divine phoenix avatar could even wipe out a martial emperor or a martial saint, let alone a martial supreme. Fairy spirit phoenix, I didn't expect you to actually control the divine phoenix. Zither. I thought I was the only one who controlled the saint artifact. The gray-robed elder smiled and extended his hand. A huge axe appeared in front of him. The axe contained destructive power and gave off a feeling of death. Axe of astonishment. Lord Yuanlong, it seems that Prince Wind Spirit treats you well. Fairy Spirit Phoenix was also stunned when she saw the axe of astonishing gods, and she immediately laughed. Li Lingtian sat on the silver-winged flying dragon and looked at the 3 supreme realm powerhouses in the sky. He closed his eyes slightly and began to heal his injuries, completely ignoring the 3 supreme realm powerhouses. At this point he could only do his own thing. Instead of worrying, he might as well relax a little. All the powerhouses below were speechless. 3 martial honors were confronting each other, while Li Lingtian was healing himself. Seeing the experts of the Queen's Palace and the Wind Moon Palace brandish their saint weapons, they were all shocked beyond words. Chapter 268 Battle Invitation. Chapter 268 Battle Invitation. Countless martial artists felt endless pressure in front of the 3 supreme realm experts. However, they did not dare to breathe loudly. If the 3 revered martial artists were unhappy, they would casually give you a blow and you would be finished. Yan Qingshan's expression kept changing. He was shocked when he found out that his family's most powerful martial emperor's bead of life was broken. A 9th-level martial emperor was the core strength of a family. One less would have a huge impact on the family's power. The 3 of them didn't care much about the first bead of life breaking, but the last one was broken. 2 of his heavenly jewels had been broken in a row. He knew what kind of destructive disaster had befallen his family. He had no choice but to stop cultivating. The moment he came out, the other 2 beads of life were also broken, and the 4 level 9 martial royal realm beads of life were also broken. When he came out, he had a bad feeling when he saw the martial royal from his clan going out to wipe out the Divine Pill Pavilion. That was why he unleashed the Supreme Realm's 1,000 miles in an instant to kill Li Lingtian. However, 2 Supreme Realm experts had appeared and blocked his attack. It was obvious that it was impossible to kill this young man now. What shocked him was that this young man actually made the Queen's Palace and the Wind Moon Palace come to his rescue at the same time. When he saw the Divine Phoenix Zither and the Axe of Astonishment, he felt that things were troublesome. With these 2 saint artifacts, even the 3 of them would only die. I have always convinced people with reason. Your Yin family was unreasonable first. Do you want to blame others? Let me ask your Yin clan. One have not come out all these years. Could it be that you have ignored me? Ignoring the Queen's Palace? Your Yin family is really bold. Today I will wipe out your Yin family. Do you believe me? Fairy Spirit Phoenix coldly spoke. The Queen's Palace was the god of the Azure continent, the ruler of the Azure continent. All these years, the queen's palace had rarely made a move. She never thought that a mere Yin family would dare to bargain in front of her. After she finished speaking, she extended her jade-like finger and pointed a spell on the divine phoenix zither. A crisp and melodious sound rang out. All the warriors were stunned. This was the first time they had heard the queen's palace use reason to convince people. The queen's palace was extremely powerful and had never been reasonable. Now, they were saying that they had always convinced people with reason. The Windy Moon Palace has always won people over by virtue. But you've offended someone you shouldn't have. If His Highness was here, your Yin family and Moonrise City would have been long gone. When Lord Yuanlong saw that Fairy Spirit Phoenix was about to make a move, he also acted as if he was about to make a move. The god-stunning axe trembled, and a destructive light shadow emitted from the space. The two of you can talk things out. The disciples of the Yin family are a mess. Some of them offended him, but he killed 5 9th-level martial emperors of the Yin family. Are we going to let this go just like that? When Yin Qingshan saw the situation between the two of them, he felt like vomiting blood in his heart. One of them was extremely powerful, but he said that he was convincing people with reason. One of them was domineering and said that he convinced people with virtue. What kind of person was this? How could he say such words? However, the Yin family was weak and could not afford to offend the two super forces. Not to mention the two super forces, even if the Yin family was powerful, they were not a match for the two people in front of them. Any one of them could easily wipe out the Yin family. Slow down. Li Lingtian, who had been silent all this while, spoke calmly. Almost all the warriors ignored him in front of the revered martial artists. However, now that he had spoken, all the martial artists were incomparably surprised. He actually dared to be so rude in front of 3 martial honors. Wasn't he courting death? I don't need you to care about my matters. Isn't the Yin family very domineering? 3 months later, I will raise the Yin family to the ground. Li Lingtian said coldly. His eyes were filled with coldness. Wherever his gaze passed, all the warriors felt their hearts tremble. He was shocked as well. He cursed Li Lingtian for being reckless. It was such a good opportunity to let the Wind Moon Palace and the Queen's Palace wipe out the Yin clan. He would then have nothing to worry about. But now he had to deal with it himself. 3 months, it would be very difficult for him to recover from his injuries in 3 months. How was he going to wipe out the Yin family? The Yin family had 3 Supreme Realm experts, which was why the 10 families of Soliciting Moon City were afraid. Damn it! Yin Qingshan cursed in his heart. He was actually insulted by a trash martial artist. Fairy Spirit Phoenix and Lord Yuanlong were also puzzled, and anger appeared in their eyes. He was a martial honor, but he was actually interrupted by a low-level martial artist. If it were anyone else, they would have long wiped it off. However, the young man in front of him could not be touched. Not only could he not be touched, but he also had to be protected. At the same time, they were shocked. What was this young man so confident about? He actually said that he would wipe out the Yin family in 3 months. Alright, I'll let you off first. If anyone from the Yin family comes within 100 miles of him within these 3 months, I'll wipe out the Yin family. Yuanlong pondered for a moment before speaking in a cold voice. He looked at Li Lingtian. He could not tell the youth's cultivation base and wondered what kind of mystical cultivation technique he had cultivated. However, based on his secret observations, he was definitely only at the martial arts grandmaster realm. He did not expect that a martial arts grandmaster could actually kill 4 rank 9 martial emperors. His various methods were also extremely shocking. More importantly, this young man had a saint artifact in his hands, and it was a top-notch saint artifact. Bengong promised her that one would save you once. This time you didn't seize the opportunity. However, I'll be in Moonrise City for the next 3 months. Once the matter between you and the Yin family is settled, I won't bother with your affairs anymore. Fairy Spirit Phoenix looked at Li Lingtian. She was curious about this young man as well. She wondered why the little princess would fall for this young man. Just you wait. 3 months later, I will definitely wipe out your Yin family. Li Lingtian turned around and stared coldly at Yin Qingshan, who was floating in the air. Was a martial honor that impressive? After saying that, he nodded at Fairy Spirit Phoenix and Lord Yuanlong, and the silver-winged flying dragon quickly flew into the distance. In the air, the atmosphere became calm after Li Lingtian's departure. Yin Qingshan's body disappeared in a flash. At the same time, Fairy Spirit Phoenix and Lord Yuanlong also disappeared without a trace. In Moonrise City, the area within 100 meters of the Divine Pill Pavilion was destroyed. All the buildings were reduced to ashes and leveled to the ground. The battle lasted less than 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, 4 peak 9th level martial emperors had fallen at the hands of a young man. In the end, the 3 martial honors, the Wind Moon Palace, and the Queen's Palace's experts appeared, making things extremely strange. Li Lingtian of the Divine Pill Pavilion was the name that appeared before the Grand Supreme Elders of the top 10 families. That was because this young man did not seem to have any cultivation, but his strength was extremely terrifying. 4 9th-level martial emperors of the Yen family had been killed, and even a martial honor had appeared. With the Queen's Palace and the Wind Moon Palace of the 3 superpowers stepping forward, the originally simple matter had now become complicated. When Li Lingtian returned to the cave abode, he spat out a mouthful of blood and fell onto the silver-winged flying dragon. Qingling was overjoyed to see Li Lingtian return. However, she felt a sharp pain in her heart when she saw Li Lingtian's injuries. The siblings looked at the silver-winged flying dragon tentatively, but it did not react at all. Qingling quickly walked forward and helped Li Lingtian down. Then the restriction was opened, and the silver-winged flying dragon followed. "Brother, help young master into the training room. Young master needs to treat his injuries now." Qingling's small face revealed a trace of shrewdness. At this moment she no longer looked like a little girl but a decisive person. He couldn't be so wishy-washy at this time. Now that his young master was injured, he could only depend on himself. If he couldn't solve all of this, he wouldn't be worthy of being his young master's maid, let alone his woman. "All right." Qingyu nodded and the two of them helped Li Lingtian into the practice room. After that, Qingyun left the cave dwelling. Now that the matters outside had to be dealt with, he could only leave this place to Qingling. In the practice room, Li Lingtian was barely breathing and his face was pale. This time his injuries were extremely serious. He was on the verge of death after being attacked by 4 martial emperors. Fortunately, he managed to take out the freezing meteorite at the last moment. Otherwise, he would have been destroyed. Using the freezing sky meteor, he forcefully circulated his soul consciousness, causing his soul to tremble. "Go out first. Don't disturb me." Li Lingtian opened his eyes weakly as he spoke softly. He then activated his divine perception and tugged at his soul. It felt like his soul was being torn apart. The God Soul would appeared in front of him. He did not expect this God Soul would to be used so quickly. "Yes." Qingling nodded. She did not dare to disturb Li Lingtian at this moment because the only person who could save her now was Li Lingtian himself. After watching Qingling leave the practice room, Li Lingtian laboriously cast 2 small restrictions before calling Little White out. After doing everything, he felt as if he had died once again. His entire body was drenched and his face was pale. As the God Soul would hovered in the air, Li Lingtian endured the pain in his soul, and used his divine consciousness to sense the God Soul wood. He used the God Soul wood to stabilize his divine consciousness. Forcefully using spiritual awareness was a dangerous thing. If a warrior used his soul consciousness, the greatest danger was to encounter a powerful soul consciousness counterattack. In this case, the light would damage his soul consciousness, the Sirius would become an idiot, and even worse, his entire soul would disappear and he would be consigned to eternal damnation. Li Lingtian's 2 souls combined together with the 9-yang Saint Lord's soul. The 3 souls combined together and finally achieved soul perfection. The souls of the 3 of them were only 1/3 of their original bodies, but this 1/3 was very complete. When Li Lingtian transmigrated, his soul fused and became 2 souls. Together with a wisp of the Saint Lord Zhuyang's soul, his soul was unmatched. Therefore, his consciousness was often stronger than martial artists of the same level. Even martial artists with much higher cultivation than him could not compare to him in terms of consciousness. Now that he had forcefully used his divine sense, His divine sense had been damaged. Fortunately, he had not become an idiot. The god Soulwood was emitting a mysterious aura that was constantly nourishing Li Lingtian's damaged divine consciousness and soul. As the days passed, Li Lingtian was repairing his divine consciousness in the practice room. However, the outside world was in chaos. There were discussions about the Divine Pill Pavilion and the Yin family. Chapter 269 Chapter 269 Continuous Breakthrough. Chapter 269 Continuous Breakthrough. The Divine Pill Pavilion spirit alchemist Li Lingtian is from the Moonrise Ridge's Maple Leaf Manor. Besides, it seems that Prince Wind Spirit of the Wind Moon Palace is also his brother. The little princess of the Queen's Palace seems to be on very good terms with him. No wonder the Wind Moon Palace and the Queen's Palace acted at the same time to stop Wu Zun of the Yin clan. One didn't expect Sir Lingtian to be so powerful. He even killed 4 9th level martial monarchs from the Yin clan. That's right. The battle that night was earth-shattering. 4 martial monarchs were killed separately. In the end, the Yin family's martial honor who was cultivating in seclusion was lured out. The Yin family is powerful, but it's only in Moonrise City. Compared to the Wind Moon Palace and the Queen's Palace, it's like a giant dragon and an ant. However, isn't Sir Lingtian too bold? He actually doesn't need the help of the Queen's Palace and the Wind Moon Palace to wipe out the Yin family, and wants to deal with the Yin family himself. I'm afraid he won't be able to recover in 3 months. We'll know when the time comes. The Yin family and the Divine Pill Pavilion will have a real war 3 months later. At that time, the Yin family will be finished. The Yin family is finished? No matter how powerful Sir Lingtian is, it's impossible for him to be a match for a Supreme Realm expert. What do you know? If Sir Lingtian dies, the Queen's Palace and the Wind Moon Palace will wipe out the Yin clan. Moonrise City was filled with discussions between the Divine Pill Pavilion and the Yin family, as well as the matters of the Wind Moon Palace and the Queen's Palace. The experts of the top 10 families didn't dare to make a move. Even the Queen's Palace and the Wind Moon Palace were involved. If a small family like theirs interfered, they would be courting death. In the City Lord's mansion, more than a dozen 9th level martial emperors and a few Supreme Realm experts also felt that things were troublesome. Initially, they wanted to find trouble with the Divine Pill Pavilion, but the Queen's Palace and the Wind Moon Palace appeared behind the Divine Pill Pavilion. They did not dare to make a move. A portion of Moonrise City's array formation was destroyed by Li Lingtian's freezing meteorite. Countless array masters and powerhouses from the Castellan's mansion joined in the effort to repair the array formation. One didn't expect that one would actually come to Green Island. I'm really courting death. In a huge mountain range in the Azure continent there were pavilions and palaces everywhere. In the deepest part of these pavilions, a devilish young man revealed a trace of hatred on his face. You will never be better than him. So what if you are from Dishi family? You can only rely on the halo of your family forever. In front of him you will feel ashamed. In the depths of the pavilion, within the 18 levels of the God Ceiling Pagoda, a peerless beauty spoke softly. Her eyes were filled with disdain as she looked at the devilish young man in the distance. Tang Qingyue, you will regret this. Even if one have to take your Taiyin blood, I'm still a martial honor. I'm the first person in the past 1,000 years in the Azure continent to become a martial honor before the age of 50. You actually dared to give the blood of extreme Yin to a piece of trash. You will be forever imprisoned in the God Ceiling Pagoda. I will let you watch him die without a burial place in front of me. The bewitching man said coldly. His entire body was filled with a shocking pressure. His cultivation had actually reached the 3rd level of the Supreme Realm. Humph. You are ignorant. One believed that one day you won't be able to raise your head in front of him. You're just a piece of trash in front of him. The beautiful woman was Tang Ziming's sister, Tang Qingyue. She had been brought back to the Azure continent by Dishi family's powerful warriors, but now she was locked in the God Ceiling Tower. Days passed. Moonrise City was peaceful, but everyone could feel the oppressive aura of a storm. For a month, there was no news from Li Lingtian of the Divine Pill Pavilion. No one knew if Li Lingtian was dead or alive. Countless families and warriors were paying attention to Li Lingtian's condition. On the other hand, Li Lingtian, who was the focus of everyone's attention, remained motionless in the practice room as he entered a state of hibernation. However, his expression was very calm, and he no longer looked injured. Around him layers of faint halos flickered. The aura of the god soul would also disappeared, and it lay quietly on the ground. After some time, Li Lingtian, who was lying on the ground, opened his eyes with a sharp glint in his eyes. Break and then establish, the soul will not be destroyed. Li Lingtian's face lit up with excitement as the divine consciousness that had dissipated around him quickly gathered together. The god soul wood was also suspended in the air. Li Lingtian sat with his eyes closed as his divine consciousness in his awareness revolved continuously. The surrounding halos quickly entered his body. Even the god's soul wood on the ground was spinning rapidly. At that moment, a blood-red demonic lotus-shaped carving appeared between Li Lingtian's brows. It was like a three-petaled refined blood-red lotus flower. A beam of blood-red light appeared, and the god soul wood was wrapped in the blood-red light. In an instant, the 1-foot-long god soul wood was actually refined by the blood-red light. The god soul wood disappeared, followed by the blood-red light disappearing into the lotus flower between his eyebrows. Eye of the divine soul. You actually allowed me to achieve the eye of the divine soul. Li Lingtian made a hand seal with his right hand and wiped it away. The three-petaled lotus flower between his brows disappeared, and his face revealed an excited expression. The eye of the divine soul was a secret technique of an ancient mighty figure. It only existed in the ancient scriptures, but he never thought that he would accidentally achieve the eye of the divine soul. This eye of the divine soul could be used to launch divine sense attacks and see things that other warriors couldn't. For experts who cultivated divine sense and array Tao, this was a heaven-defying shortcut. However, for countless years, no one had ever seen the eye of the divine soul, let alone cultivated it. He had actually encountered such a 1 in a billion opportunity. With the eye of the divine soul, he could take another step forward in the array Tao, and his mind would be even more agile. It was even easier to cultivate and comprehend skills and cultivation techniques. The eye of the divine soul was one of the 3 great effects. It could attack the consciousness, devour the consciousness, and strengthen the master sea of consciousness and thoughts. Spiritual awareness attacks were the most terrifying attacks in the world. Because the spiritual awareness was invisible and traceless, it was simply impossible to resist. Only a strong spiritual awareness could resist it. In the divine martial continent, warriors didn't dare to use soul consciousness attacks at all, because soul consciousness attacks would suffer a backlash. If they were not careful, they would suffer a backlash. If he encountered a martial artist of the same level, a spiritual awareness attack would only result in both sides suffering losses. If he encountered a powerful spiritual awareness, the attacker would only seek death. Encountering low-level martial artists, there was no need to waste divine sense at all. Devouring the divine sense was to devour the other party's divine sense after defeating the opponent, and find the other party's memories from the divine sense. This skill was no different from the soul destruction technique. The only difference was that the devoured divine sense could strengthen one's own divine sense. To strengthen one's knowledge sea was to strengthen one's own knowledge sea, so that it would not be attacked by other martial artists. In the instant that one was attacked by the divine sense, the first thing to do was to protect oneself from being attacked. The more powerful one's spiritual sense was, the more agile one's thinking would be. Li Lingtian was extremely excited to discover the eye of the divine soul. When the opportunity moved, the realm would be relaxed. The realm of a martial artist was strong because of his cultivation, and it was magical because of the opportunity. The appearance of the divine soul had long caused the fluctuation of the realm. Tier 6 Martial Arts Grandmaster Break. Li Lingtian's heart skipped a beat when he realized that his realm had loosened. He released his divine consciousness and tossed 2 soul-restoring pills into his mouth. The shocking medicinal power spread throughout his body. He circulated the heaven and earth reincarnation and quickly converted the medicinal power into Zhenyuan. The Zhenyuan surged through his meridians like a monstrous wave. In an instant, a powerful quintessential essence rushed into his dantian. The 5-colored golden core also started to spin, and the 5-colored golden core quickly absorbed the powerful quintessential essence. Bam! With a slight sound, A mysterious opening in his body was broken, and the flow of true essence in his meridians became smoother. He had broken through to the 6th level of the martial arts Grandmaster realm. In his meridians and dantian, endless true essence flowed like a never-ending river. Purple jade fruit. Li Lingtian felt his breakthrough and the true essence in his body surged. Such a powerful true essence was exciting. With a flick of his consciousness, a 10-year-old purple jade fruit appeared. The 10-year-old purple jade fruit did not have any bottlenecks and could directly raise a martial arts grandmaster by one realm. However, in one's lifetime, one only had one chance to raise one's realm. Li Lingtian was amazed by the rapid refinement of the purple jade fruit and the transformation of its astonishing spiritual power into true essence. This spiritual power obviously did not need to be converted into true essence by the cultivation technique. True essence quickly entered the dantian. The true essence formed by the purple jade fruit fused with the true essence in his dantian, causing the quality of the true essence to change. Rank 7 Martial Arts Grandmaster. The 5-colored golden core spun, and the quality of the true essence in his body increased to the power of the 7th grade. The golden core also became more powerful. Every time it rotated, a thunderous sound would erupt. This sound could only be felt by the divine sense in the dantian. The shocking power of the true essence was circulating. This kind of powerful power was many times stronger than the power of a rank 5 martial arts grandmaster. The two were on completely different levels. Rank 7 martial arts grandmaster. That's enough. A confident smile appeared on Li Lingtian's face. Now that he was a Tier 7 martial arts grandmaster, his strength had improved by many folds. He did not have to worry about his cultivation anymore. Thinking about how much time had passed since he was injured, he looked around. Qingling! He shouted. He wanted to know how much time had passed. It had to be more than 3 months. Young master! Just as Li Lingtian's voice faded, Qingling's voice was heard. Soon after, her voice appeared in Li Lingtian's sight. With a wave of his hand, the restriction disappeared and Qingling entered the training room. Li Lingtian's heart ached when he saw Qingling's expression. Although the little girl in front of him was still as beautiful as before, she had lost a lot of weight. It made one's heart ache. Needless to say, this little girl had been extremely worried during this period of time. How long has it been? Li Lingtian reached out and pulled Qingling into his arms. How could he not feel warm with such a woman by his side? He didn't know how long he had been in here, but it seemed like the longer he was in here, the longer Qingling had been worried. Young master, have you recovered from your injuries? Qingling did not answer how much time had passed. Instead, she was concerned about Li Lingtian's injuries. To her nothing mattered. The only thing she cared about was her young master's injuries. Chapter 270 Chapter 270 Eye of the Divine Soul. Chapter 270 Eye of the Divine Soul. There was nothing more important than young master's injury. It's done. Li Lingtian nodded as he gently stroked his hair. He looked at the little girl in his arms seriously. That's great. Young master has been here for 33 days. Qingling was excited when she heard that Li Lingtian's injuries were healed. Her face was flushed with excitement. Her worries had finally been resolved. Naturally, there was nothing more joyous than this. 33 heavens, I have achieved the Eye of the Divine Soul and attained the 7th rank of the martial arts grandmaster realm. A confident smile appeared on Li Lingtian's face as he muttered to himself. He only had less than a day to break through to the next realm. He didn't know anything about the first 32 days. He didn't expect that the God Soul would repair his divine sense and achieve the Eye of the Divine Soul in 32 days. He didn't even know how he recovered from his injuries. This was what shocked him. In the past, when he was injured, it was always Dragon Qi tempering his body to heal his injuries. This time it actually healed automatically. It was really unbelievable. Then, he recalled that he had used the dragon energy of the 3,000 worlds. The dragon energy in the divine dragon ring must have automatically healed his injuries when he was unconscious. Eye of the Divine Soul. Rank 7 Martial Arts Grandmaster. Young Master, you've reached the 7th level of Martial Arts Grandmaster. What is the eye of the divine soul? Qingling was extremely curious when she heard Li Lingtian mumbling to himself. Her young master was only a Tier 5 warrior ascendant a while ago, yet he was now a Tier 7 warrior ascendant. She also had no idea what the eye of divine soul was. Not bad, you've already reached the 7th rank of a martial arts grandmaster. This is the eye of the divine soul. Li Lingtian nodded. With a flick of his divine consciousness, a 3-petaled blood-red lotus appeared between his brows. It was an exquisite 3-petaled lotus the size of a fingernail and looked like an engraving. After this 3-petaled lotus appeared, it gave off a demonic feeling. When she looked at the direction of her soul, she felt as if she was about to sink into it. Unknowingly, Qingling was completely lost. Li Lingtian's face cracked into a smile. With a flick of his divine consciousness, the 3-petaled lotus flower engraving disappeared and returned to normal. Qingling couldn't help but shiver and reveal a puzzled expression. She didn't know what had happened to her. What a terrifying divine soul eye. Young master, what happened to Qingling just now? Qingling looked at Li Lingtian with lingering fear. Although she did not know what had happened to her, she could sense the terror of this divine soul. Fortunately, it was him. If it were anyone else, they would not even know how they died after encountering young master's divine soul eyes. It's nothing. Your spiritual sense is being controlled. Li Lingtian smiled, but he was also shocked. He did not control his divine consciousness at all. This eye of the divine soul could completely trap low-level disciples. If he used the eye of the divine soul, he believed that even a super expert would be fooled. Let's go. One haven't eaten in a long time. Let's go make something to eat. Li Lingtian carried Qingling as they walked out. Li Lingtian then laid down on a chair in the garden while Qingling busied herself in the kitchen. After getting the news that young master had recovered, Qingling was relieved and she kept smiling. Naturally, Li Lingtian knew that the little girl had been worried for a month and even he himself had become so thin. Soon a few exquisite dishes were prepared. Both of them were happy, and the meal was over very quickly. Following that, Li Lingtian rested for 2 days. He spent 2 days learning about the outside world and accompanying Qingling. It had been a month since he had been intimate with Qingling. When the two of them were together, the room was filled with endless spring and moans. Li Lingtian wanted to use Qingling's gentleness until both of them fell asleep from exhaustion. Qingling was in charge of the news regarding the outside world. Since she was by Li Lingtian's side, it was only natural for her to tell him about it. Li Lingtian's expression turned serious after understanding what was happening outside. He had said that he would wipe out the Yin clan. Now that more than a month had passed, it was time for him to focus on cultivating the divine wrath of heaven and the heaven-destroying sword formation. The god's fury descended from the heavens, a heaven-grade divine power skill that was passed down from the stone door of the ancient cave dwelling. A divine ability that could make an ancient mighty figure value it so much was naturally something that could destroy the world. That cave abode was the residence of an ancient mighty figure. The ancient mighty figure had carved skills on the stone door, and even used countless demon arrays to hide it. This god's wrath that descended from the sky was definitely not simple. In the past he could not cultivate it. However, now that he had reached the 7th rank of the martial arts grandmaster realm and cultivated the eye of the divine soul, it was naturally easy. In 10 days he cultivated the divine wrath of the heavens. Another 10 days passed. Li Lingtian smiled as he cultivated the second move of the heaven-destroying sword formation. The power of the first move of the heaven-destroying sword formation was equivalent to a martial emperor's forbidden technique. The second move was indeed a divine power skill. Myriad swords returned to the origin, a top-notch divine power skill. When he used this move, the sky and earth changed color. The entire world became a world of swords. As long as it was a martial artist's sword, it would become his sharp sword. Controlling 10,000 swords, this kind of destructive skill made his confidence greatly increase. The reason he dared to boast about wiping out the Yen family in 3 months was because of the divine wrath of heaven and the return of 10,000 swords. Although he had not truly cultivated and comprehended these two skills, he was only one step away from success. Only by putting pressure on oneself would one improve. Only by pushing oneself to the edge of the cliff would one explode. In 20 days he had cultivated 2 skills. However, right now, he could only gently gesture in the practice room because such a skill would have the power to destroy the world. If he used it, this top-notch cave abode would be destroyed. Li Lingtian felt much more relaxed after he cultivated the 2 skills. Whenever he was free, Qingling would be by his side. Whenever Li Lingtian was cultivating, Qingling would work hard to cultivate because she knew that if she were to encounter any danger, she could only watch helplessly. She didn't want such a thing to happen again, so she had to strengthen herself to change everything. Time passed quickly. More and more warriors gathered in Moonrise City. Due to the news of Li Lingtian and the Yin family in Soliciting Moon City spreading like wildfire, many warriors from the cities near Soliciting Moon City came to see how powerful the Divine Pill Pavilion was. Moreover, the mayor's office of the Soliciting Moon City had also discussed that the battle between the Yin family and the Divine Pill Pavilion should not be held within the city. It had to be thousands of miles away from Soliciting Moon City. Naturally, Li Lingtian did not care about these matters. Instead, he rested in the cave abode. On this day, Li Lingtian entered the Divine Dragon Ring. "Buddy, this time our life and death will depend on you. No matter how strong I am, one can only resist one Supreme Realm expert. You have to help me resist one. Don't you want to become a true dragon? This young master will grant you your wish, but your life and death will depend on your luck." Li Lingtian looked at the silver-winged flying dragon and spoke in a serious tone. "Roar!" The silver-winged flying dragon let out a loud roar. Its voice was filled with excitement. The silver-winged flying dragon was not a true dragon. It was only a type of dragon. Its bloodline was not pure either. It could no longer be considered a dragon. Last time he had given it a drop of Little White's true dragon blood to make it mutate and become close to the dragon race. However, it was not a true dragon yet. The only thing that needed to become a true dragon was not only the blood of a true dragon, but also the cultivation technique of a true dragon's body protection and the chi of a true dragon. It was excited when it heard Li Lingtian's words. It was not afraid of death. If it could really become a true dragon, it would be worth it to die. However, Li Lingtian had to promise to give him the true dragon's blood and the dragon clan's cultivation method that protected him with the true dragon's body, and he had to refine it in the dragon energy. Now that Li Lingtian had agreed, how could it not be excited? "Alright, here are 10 heavenly Yao pills. I can give you the cultivation technique of the dragon race, but you can't go against my will. You have to know that you're a true dragon after cultivating the true dragon body barrier. You have to abide by the rules of the dragon race. Little White, come here." As Li Lingtian spoke, he looked at the silver-winged flying dragon. The silver-winged flying dragon nodded repeatedly, knowing that Li Lingtian was telling the truth. Moreover, Li Lingtian was the only person in this world who could turn him into a true dragon. It did not know Li Lingtian's identity, but it knew that Li Lingtian must have a close relationship with the dragon tribe. Otherwise, the 3-colored true dragon, Little White, would not have followed him and would not have the dragon tribe's cultivation technique. Little White looked at Li Lingtian unwillingly. Naturally, it knew what Li Lingtian wanted to do. Li Lingtian did not need to say anything before he took action. He closed his blood-red eyes and the air trembled. Another drop of crystal-clear blood essence appeared in the air. A shocking dragon power trembled in the air. Although it was inside the divine dragon ring, it was also a world. Roar! 2. With an excited roar, Li Lingtian quickly absorbed the true dragon's blood. With a flick of his divine consciousness, a golden ray of light entered the silver-winged flying dragon's glabella. The true dragon body protection technique was passed over. In a few seconds, the silver-winged flying dragon almost exploded. This was because the blood of the real dragon was many times stronger than the last one. The last one was only Little White's blood essence, but this time it was the blood of the essence of the real dragon, which was also one of the essence of Little White's cultivation. It was the most powerful essence of the demon race in the world. Let's go in. Whether you live or die will depend on your luck. When Li Lingtian saw this, he waved his hand and a hole appeared in the space. The silver-winged flying dragon flew into the crack as well. When it reappeared, it had entered a mysterious world. This was also the place where Li Lingtian repaired his meridians. It was the first world of the 3,000 worlds dragon energy. After seeing the silver-winged flying dragon enter the 3,000 world dragon energy, Li Lingtian left the divine dragon ring. Outside, he could also dominate everything inside. The great battle was getting closer and closer. He had to speed up his cultivation and become more familiar with the control of the myriad returning swords and the divine wrath of heaven. In a big battle with a supreme realm expert, his other skills were already useless. He only had trump cards and holy weapons. If he used a mystic grade skill in a battle with a supreme realm expert, he would be courting death. He was only a Tier 7 martial arts grandmaster and had lost in terms of cultivation. His only reliance was the array, the holy artifact, and the divine power. Moreover, he had to kill them in one strike in this battle. Otherwise, he would not be able to survive. Chapter 271 Chapter 271 Reincarnation Peak Peak Duel 1 Chapter 271 Reincarnation Peak Peak Duel 1 When a martial arts grandmaster competed with a martial emperor, it was just a game of instant kill. Moreover, the opponent was a first-level martial honored realm super expert. He would either kill them in an instant or be killed. In this world, the gap between realms was just that big. Divine Array Diagram, Sacrifice. Heaven and Earth Reincarnation. After Li Lingtian finished cultivating his skills, he displayed the Divine Array Diagram. In the Divine Array Diagram there were the 10 Great Ancient Divine Arrays, 10 Great Ancient Divine Arrays, and 10 Great Ancient Forbidden Arrays. He knew everything, but he could not cultivate it because his cultivation was too low. However, after his cultivation had broken through, he had actually comprehended the heaven and earth reincarnation of the 10 ancient divine arrays with the help of the eye of the divine soul. Although this divine array was not as terrifying as the forbidden array, it was still stronger than the ancient divine array. Its power was shocking. It was also due to luck that he managed to comprehend such an ancient divine array this time. This was because he cultivated the heaven and earth reincarnation technique. Otherwise, he would not even be able to comprehend the 10 ancient divine formations, let alone the 10 ancient divine formations. Not to mention a divine array, even a holy array could not come into contact with it. As he cast his spells, a strange aura appeared in the world and quickly disappeared. With a flick of his divine sense, the entire world inside the cave abode was completely controlled by his divine sense. Now it's up to you. If you die, I'll have to run away and lose face. Li Lingtian retracted the divine array diagram and looked at the divine dragon ring. Now he was only looking at the silver-winged flying dragon. If the silver-winged flying dragon could not break through, he would not have much confidence. We are destined to pay a huge price in this war, he muttered to himself. With his cultivation, no matter what skill he used, whether it was a saint artifact, or a divine array diagram, he would have to pay a huge price. This was because these were not things that his current cultivation could display. He was going against the heavens. After saying everything, his body flashed and he disappeared in a strange manner. Half a day later, Li Lingtian returned to the cave abode with a tired expression. "Young master, what's wrong?" When Li Lingtian returned to his cave abode, he happened to bump into Qingling. Qingling noticed that her young master had returned from the outside with a tired expression on his face and a lot of dirt on his body. "I went out for a while." After Li Lingtian finished speaking, he walked toward the pool behind the cave abode, while Qingling came forward to support him. The two of them came to the pool. Qingling took off Li Lingtian's clothes and he comfortably soaked in the pool. Qingling removed her outer clothes and entered the pool. She came behind Li Lingtian and gently massaged him. Leaning his head into Qingling's embrace, he felt her full and proud breasts, and waves of softness spread throughout his body. This was not the first time that the two of them had done this. After soaking in the pool for half an hour, Qingling and Lingtian were completely naked, and the two of them were tightly entangled together. Moonrise City was packed with people, and it was now much more popular than before. Countless martial artists and experts were here to watch the battle between the Yen family's Martial Supreme and the Divine Pill Pavilion's Spirit Alchemist. The They all knew that the spirit alchemist of the Divine Pill Pavilion was only a martial grandmaster, but he had killed a 9th-level martial emperor of the Yen family. Now he even threatened to wipe out the Yen family in 3 months. There was only 1 day left before the 3 months passed. In other words, tomorrow would be the day when the Yen family and the spirit alchemists of the Divine Pill Pavilion would fight. Soon, the city lord's mansion announced that the spirit alchemist of the Divine Pill Pavilion had come out of seclusion. In order to avoid harming the innocent, he had left Moonrise City and chosen Reincarnation Peak, which was 3,000 miles away from the city, as the battlefield. The news shocked Moonrise City. Although they were aware of the duel between Li Lingtian and the Yin clan, they did not expect Li Lingtian to speak first. In this way, no one would say that Li Lingtian was afraid of the battle. Not only were all the forces in soliciting Moon City shocked, even the surrounding super forces were shocked. The appearance of such a terrifying monster would have an impact on his family and sect. Although the battle would only begin tomorrow, after receiving the news from the city lord's mansion, all the warriors rushed to the Reincarnation Peak, hoping to get a good seat to watch. The Reincarnation Peak was located 3,000 miles away from soliciting Moon City. Within 1,000 miles of the Reincarnation Peak, it was a wasteland. There were no sects, families, or martial artists here. It did not mean that there was no spiritual energy here, and it was not suitable for cultivation. On the contrary, the spiritual energy here was so dense that even the top-grade cave abodes in Moonrise City might not be as dense as the spiritual energy here. However, no one dared to cultivate here because the martial artists who came here would be strangely suppressed. The oppressive aura made people not dare to stay long. Even a Supreme Realm expert would not dare to cultivate here, let alone other experts. There was no one cultivating within 1,000 miles. Those who were here could only stay for a moment at most. The Reincarnation Peak had 2 main peaks. The 2 lonely peaks were separated by 10 miles and were 1,000 meters tall. There was a bottomless lake around the 2 peaks. It was definitely the best place for a great battle. It would not affect ordinary warriors, nor would it cause destruction to Moonrise City. The next morning, the Reincarnation Peak was no longer quiet. Tens of thousands of warriors and experts were already waiting outside the Reincarnation Peak. Once the Yen family and Li Lingtian from the Divine Pill Pavilion arrived, the great battle would begin. Warriors from Moonrise City, as well as powerhouses from cities nearby, would come to watch the shocking battle. In the Azure Continent, there were very few Supreme Realm experts who challenged them. These powerful Supreme Realm experts were all cultivating in seclusion to obtain stronger cultivation and longer lifespans. Even the competition for treasures would be carried out in secret. It was impossible for a family war to be fought like this. 100 miles away from the Reincarnation Peak, countless warriors had surrounded the Reincarnation Peak. All of the experts in Moonrise City were martial kings and martial grandmasters. There were also a handful of martial emperors. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The sound of air being torn apart rang out in the sky. 3 light spots appeared in the sky. In a flash, they arrived at the top of the Reincarnation Mountain. 2 old men stood on the top of the mountain, and one of them was floating in the air. Immediately, a 3-legged situation was formed. If a martial artist entered, they would suffer a destructive attack and never be able to come out. The Yin family's 3 Supreme Realm experts. Yin Qingshan's strength has increased by quite a bit again. I haven't seen Yin Qingming for the past 200 years. I didn't expect him to have already reached the peak of the 1st level of the martial honored realm. It seems that the 3 of them are secretly cultivating some powerful skill. I wonder if they have successfully cultivated it. The Yin family's 3 supreme martial artists, Yin Qingming Yen, Qingshan and Yin Qingfeng. They live up to their reputation. With 3 Supreme Realm experts working together, even a 2nd-level Supreme Realm expert can only run away. Don't talk anymore. Be careful of unexpected disasters. Countless experts looked at the 3 Yin family experts in the sky and were extremely shocked. Even in the powerful Gang continent, it was rare to see a martial honor. These Supreme Realm experts were all cultivating and rarely came out to gather together. Now 3 of them had actually appeared at once. Swoosh! A huge flying ship flew over from the sky. On the flying ship, A woman in a light shirt was standing on it. Her figure was peerless, and her face could not be seen, but she gave off a peerless feeling. In front of the woman was a zither. In the blink of an eye, the flying ship arrived outside the reincarnation peak and hovered in the air. Fairy Spirit Phoenix arrived earlier than me. A loud voice sounded and a figure streaked across the sky. The figure arrived at the reincarnation peak in the next second, and an old man in gray floated in the air. The gray-robed old man and the woman on the flying ship faced each other from afar, completely ignoring the 3 Supreme Realm experts of the Yen family. Another 2 Supreme Realm experts. It seems that there are quite a number of revered martial artists today. One heard that the 2 revered martial artists are experts from the Wind Moon Palace and the Queen's Palace. They are here to cheer for the Divine Pill Pavilion. That's impossible. The Divine Pill Pavilion doesn't have any forces. It's impossible for 2 super forces to help him. Why not? I heard that the Divine Pill Pavilion spirit alchemist is called Li Lingtian. He's the brother of the Wind Spirit Prince and is very close to the Queen's Palace's little princess. Really? How could the Yen family dare to go against the Divine Pill Pavilion? Isn't this courting death? That's right. If that's the case, why would we still have a battle? We can just get the Queen's Palace and the Wind Moon Palace to wipe out the Yen clan. Originally, the 2 super forces had the intention to do so, but the Divine Pill Pavilion Sir Ling Tian wanted to personally wipe out the Yen family. So powerful. Could it be that he's also a Supreme Realm expert? He's not a martial honor. It's said that he's just a young martial arts grandmaster. His cultivation has definitely not reached the martial emperor realm. That's impossible. All the warriors were discussing animatedly. They were all shocked when they heard the last part. A martial arts grandmaster wanted to wipe out the Yen family? Wasn't this a joke? The Yen family had 3 martial honors. Even the experts of the Divine Pill Pavilion were martial honors and might not be a match for the Yen family. They did not expect that the person from the Divine Pill Pavilion was only a martial grandmaster. This was completely beyond everyone's imagination. I'm here to represent the Wind Moon Palace. No one else is allowed to participate in the battle between Li Lingtian and the Yen family. Otherwise, it'll be an act against the Wind Moon Palace. Lord Yuanlong looked at all the experts and said loudly. He meant that only the Yen family and the Divine Pill Pavilion could fight this battle. If anyone wanted to play tricks, even if they wanted to go against Wind Moon Palace, he could kill them. All the experts listened. Wasn't this nonsense? Who could participate in a battle between Supreme Realm experts? Unless he was also a Supreme Realm expert, he would be courting death. This queen represents the Queen's Palace. If anyone tries anything funny, don't blame this queen for being impolite. Fairy Spirit Phoenix said coldly. Even her cold voice was like the sound of nature. After saying that, a brocade box appeared in front of her. A palm-sized exquisite zither flew out of the brocade box. It emitted a shocking pressure. Everyone looked at it and realized that this zither was definitely not there. It was definitely a saint artifact. With 2 of the Azure Continent's superpowers interfering, who would dare to interfere? Wouldn't that mean that they would be taking over the Queen's Palace and the Wind Moon Palace at the same time? However, countless experts were curious about the background of the Divine Pill Pavilion. They actually made 2 super forces lend a hand. Swoosh! As soon as Fairy Spirit Phoenix finished speaking, a soft voice sounded in the air. A white figure flew over and arrived in front of Reincarnation Peak in an instant. Chapter 272 Chapter 272 Divine Array Diagram, Heaven and Earth Reincarnation. Chapter 272 Divine Array Diagram, Heaven and Earth Reincarnation. The appearance of the white-robed young man caused countless martial artists to look over. The white-robed young man had a faint smile on his face. He looked calm and collected in front of countless martial artists and 5 Supreme Realm experts. His arrival immediately caused all the martial artists to be surprised. That was because the white-robed young man was at the same height as the 3 martial honors. He was also the closest to the 3 martial honors of the Yen family. It was obvious that this young man was the main character of the day. However, what surprised all the martial artists was that this young man had no cultivation at all. No matter how talented he was only a martial ancestor. Could he be the spirit pill master of the divine pill pavilion Ling Tian? They were right. The young man in white was Li Ling Tian. He was not afraid of the Yin clan's 3 revered martial artists. Instead, he had a faint murderous intent. Sir Ling Tian, spirit alchemist of the divine pill pavilion. He's Sir Ling Tian, the one who killed 4 9th-level martial monarchs. He's also the one who challenged 3 martial honors. It's him. Some powerhouses who knew Li Ling Tian were shocked and impressed. Those who didn't know him were also shocked when they heard the discussions of others. If this young man was in any other place, he would only be a disciple of an aristocratic family. How could he be associated with an expert? It was even more impossible to associate this young man with today's main character. This young master is here. Are the 3 good-for-nothings waiting for this young master? These words shocked tens of thousands of experts. These words were said to a junior. He was actually so arrogant in the face of tens of thousands of experts. Moreover, everyone could tell that this sentence was directed at the 3 Yin family's supreme realm experts. Li Ling Tian, don't talk nonsense. Today is the day you and the Yin family settle things. Yin Qingshan revealed a trace of surprise on his face. This young man was no different from the last time. The last time he saw her, she was covered in injuries and was on the verge of death. Now her injuries had completely recovered. Although he couldn't tell what was different, it gave off a sense of threat. This threat had already affected him. If they were anywhere else, they would have been scared to death by Li Lingtian's words. However, the Yin clan did not dare to be careless since there were experts from the Queen's Palace and the Wind Moon Palace here. Alright, you said it. Divine Array Diagram, Sacrifice. Heaven and Earth Reincarnation. Li Lingtian smiled. Without any hesitation, he activated his divine consciousness and a golden light appeared between his brows. With a flash of golden light, the Divine Array Diagram appeared and he cast it in one go. The Divine Array Diagram floated in the air. Suddenly, a strange aura appeared between heaven and earth, and the entire reincarnation peak trembled. Rumble! The lakes and mountains were collapsing. Countless experts flew into the distance. She was shocked. She did not expect Li Lingtian to turn the world upside down before he even made a move. Yin Qingshan was also extremely shocked. There was nothing wrong with them coming here first, but now such a strange change had actually occurred. From the sky, a mysterious aura of reincarnation rushed down and enveloped the 3 of them. Not good. It's the reincarnation of heaven and earth. It's an ancient formation. Not good. Yin Qingming shouted. The 3 of them were shocked and quickly fled into the distance. As soon as Li Lingtian shouted, Yin Qingming was knowledgeable enough to know about the ancient divine array. This ancient divine array was the heaven and earth reincarnation. He could no longer be curious about how such a divine array had appeared, but his life was more important. Ancient divine formation, heaven and earth reincarnation. He actually controls such a formation. The battle hasn't even started yet, but he has already taken the initiative. Fairy Spirit Phoenix and Lord Yuanlong were both shocked. They had no choice but to take a serious look at the terror of this young man. Rumble! Between heaven and earth, the mysterious reincarnation aura enveloped the world. The 3 martial honors and Yin Qingshan disappeared. Yin Qingming and Yin Qingfeng looked at the reincarnation peak in horror. In the middle of the reincarnation peak, a magical light pillar flashed. A furious voice kept ringing out. This voice was none other than the Yin family's supreme martial artist, Yin Qingshan. Stay here for this young master. Buddy, I've modified it. Today, 1 foot 11 inches test your power. If you're a dragon, you should soar between heaven and earth. Li Lingtian shouted after he had finished casting the heaven and earth reincarnation. The divine array was suspended in the air as he dodged Yin Qingming's attack. The entire process only took an instant, but in this instant the 3 Supreme Realm experts' joint forces were instantly broken. Li Lingtian activated the divine dragon ring with his divine consciousness. The air trembled and a huge silver-winged flying dragon appeared in the sky. Roar! A thunderous roar shook the hearts of countless warriors. Level 6 Silver Wing Flying Dragon. So he was only at Tier 5 Level 9. How did he become Tier 6 in just 3 months? This advancement speed is too fast. How can he advance so quickly? Although the 6th Order Silver Wing Flying Dragon is only at Level 1 of the 6th Order, it's enough to restrain a First Heaven Martial Honored Realm expert. All the warriors looked at the Silver Wing Flying Dragon in shock. Such a powerful demonic beast was more eye-catching than a martial honor. I see. The Silver Wing Flying Dragon carries the aura of a true dragon. It must have obtained the blood of a true dragon, or some mysterious skill of the dragon race. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so powerful. When he saw the Silver Wing Flying Dragon some time ago, it was only Level 5, Level 9. At that time it would take at least 10 years to advance, but now it had advanced in 3 months. Moreover, the Silver Wing Flying Dragon carried the true dragon chi on its body. It had undergone a world-shaking change from the last time. If we want to fight, we have to be fair. Yan Qingshan is already resting. You two, who will fight it? Li Lingtian floated in the air and unleashed all his true origin. The true origin of a martial grandmaster was not the true origin of a martial emperor. This time, all the powerhouses were fully aware of Li Lingtian's cultivation realm. He was at most a Tier 9 martial arts grandmaster, not a martial emperor. Third brother, you go and restrain this beast. I'll deal with him. Let's end this quickly. Yan Qingming glanced at the Level 6 Silver Wing Flying Dragon. His strength was stronger than his third brother. The young man in front of him was mysterious and terrifying. If he let Yan Qingfeng deal with him, he would not be at ease. Alright, we'll follow the plan. When the time comes, we'll rescue Big Brother. Yan Qingfeng said softly. As soon as he finished speaking, his body disappeared strangely. When he reappeared, he was already in front of the Silver Wing Flying Dragon. Rumble! With a shocking explosion, the Silver Wing Flying Dragon did not hold back at all. It immediately displayed the terrifying power of a 6th Order monster beast and flapped its huge wings. At the same time, a shocking dragon energy was also unleashed. The Silver Wing Flying Dragon did not disappoint Li Lingtian's expectations. It had finally advanced to Tier 6 2 days ago. With the dragon energy tempering true dragon blood and true dragon body protection, it had become a true dragon. The Silver Wing Flying Dragon was no longer a low-level demon beast, with its shocking cultivation technique and dragon energy. It was a dragon with extremely high intelligence. The Silver Wing Flying Dragon retreated as it fought. In the blink of an eye, the formation was already dozens of miles away from Li Lingtian. At this time, all the warriors were shocked. They did not expect that a young man who did not have high hopes would actually control the entire battlefield in his hands. As soon as he came up, he broke through the joint forces of the 3 Supreme Realm experts, trapped the eldest Yan Qingshan, and lured the third brother away with the silver-winged flying dragon. Now, only the second brother Yan Qingming was left. Good kid. One didn't expect him to be so terrifying. The prince's brother is indeed not simple. Lord Yuanlong looked at Li Lingtian in the air and felt relieved. He had received orders when he came to the scene that he would not let Li Lingtian die no matter what. Even though he was just a spectator, he would definitely intervene if Li Lingtian was in danger. He would never be reasonable, as the Windy Moon Palace had never been reasonable. I didn't expect Seventh Sister to have such good taste. She actually found such a person. Fairy Spirit Phoenix was shocked when she saw Li Lingtian separating the 3 revered martial artists in the blink of an eye. Now it's time for us to make a move. Show me your true ability. Don't wait for them to come and save you. Yin Qingshan, without my magic art, you will be trapped inside forever, never to return. Li Lingtian said coldly as he circulated his quintessential essence to the maximum. With a wave of his hand, he unleashed Glacier Rend. Ice river cracks, frost descends from the sky. As he softly shouted, the temperature of the space suddenly dropped sharply. Snow fell between the heavens and the earth, and the 6th month became the 12th month of winter. The entire world was a world of glaciers, as if they had come to the snow region. Icy space. Die! Yan Qingming shouted as a green jade ruler appeared in his hand. He waved his hand and a glacier appeared. The two icy cold worlds collided. The cold air between heaven and earth stunned all the martial artists. They quickly circulated their cultivation techniques to resist the too cold air. Crash! With a crisp sound, the world collapsed. Li Lingtian's body flashed as blood trickled down the corner of his mouth. Although it was a saint weapon, his opponent was a true martial honor. He had lost the advantage he had. The two separated the moment they touched. A Supreme Realm expert with a Supreme Great Emperor weapon, and a martial arts grandmaster with a saint weapon were not a match for a Supreme Realm expert. Let's see what you're really capable of. F***CK destroy. Li Lingtian's body flickered as the thunderclap wings on his shoulders flapped continuously. He then raised his hands. The space trembled, and a destructive flame appeared in his hand. At the same time, a cold ice flame appeared in his other hand. Li Lingtian's expression turned strange. In the past he had used flames and glaciers when he used his. However, he had now reached Tier 7 Martial Arts Grandmaster. Now that he had already raised his cultivation to the limit, he had directly used the icy frost flame when he used it just now, and its power had increased explosively. Ice and Fire Martial Souls. Countless warriors cried out in surprise. They were shocked when they saw Li Lingtian's martial soul for the first time. The Ice and Fire dual martial spirits were extremely rare in the Azure continent. In fact, there hadn't been a single Ice and Fire dual martial spirit in tens of thousands of years. Heavens beyond, 9 mountains suppress. Yan Qingming felt the death and destruction in the air and did not dare to be careless. He circulated his true essence. In the beginning, their attacks were just warm-ups. Now they were using their trump cards. Chapter 273 Chapter 273 Heaven-Destroying Sword Formation. Myriad Swords Return to the Origin. Chapter 273 Heaven-Destroying Sword Formation. Myriad Swords Return to the Origin. A gigantic mountain peak appeared in his hand. The mountain peak was pitch black with a heavy feeling. It was hurtling toward Li Lingtian with shocking power. Hurry up and get out of the way. Retreat quickly. Someone shouted, reminding all the martial artists that in front of such a shocking expert, everyone within 100 miles would be caught in a fish pond. No one had imagined that a young martial artist would actually fight with a Supreme Realm expert like this. It was completely a desperate battle, and for a moment they were even on par. Rumble! With an earth-shattering explosion, the 9-layered mountain fiercely collided with the pillar of light of the ice-fire/9-layered sky. Li Lingtian's body shot back like a kite with a broken string. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Yan Qingming wasn't in a good state either. Under the destruction of the ice/fire/9 heavens, the 9 mountains were also beaten back to their original state. The icy ice flame hit him, and the cold air in his body kept running around. Take this attack. I want to see how powerful a revered martial artist is. After Li Lingtian had retreated 10 miles, he flapped his thunderclap wings continuously and his entire body disappeared and reappeared. Every time he flashed, a destructive attack would appear on the spot. He would look for an opportunity to unleash all the sword intent in his body. A terrifying sword will appear between heaven and earth. Li Lingtian stood proudly like a sharp sword between heaven and earth as the shocking sword will burst forth from his body. What a terrifying sword intent! What kind of monster is this? He has ice and fire martial souls, and he even cultivates sword Dao and array Dao. He even has alchemy Dao that people look up to. For the first time, Lord Yuanlong and Fairy Spirit Phoenix felt a tinge of fear. Previously they had been looking down on Li Lingtian, but now they were no longer looking down on him. Instead they felt a tinge of fear. Sword intent not bad. Try my saber intent. Heaven-shocking single blade slash. Yan Qingming was also shocked. He was also wary of this young man. Although he had the upper hand, he could not defeat this young man. This young man was like a cockroach that could not be killed. He had countless magical methods and treasures. A terrifying saber intent destroyed everything in the world. Dozens of silver lights flashed, like dozens of destructive blade lights. Saber intent? You're just trash. Sky sword sacrifice. Li Lingtian's divine consciousness moved and the Tianyu sword appeared in the air. He then grabbed the sword in his hand. Instantly, his aura changed drastically and his sword will became even more terrifying. The sword intent continued to destroy the wills of all the martial artists. In front of the sword intent, they had no intention of resisting. The pressure of a saint artifact suppressed the space. This was his second saint artifact. All the warriors were shocked. This was because this young man's strength was terrifying, and there were countless saint artifacts. That's right. Among the martial emperors no one is your match. However, if you encounter me, even if it's a divine weapon, you can only die. In the air, dozens of light shadows merged together and a huge blade radiance slashed down at Li Lingtian. The space was also cut into two halves. The saber beam slashed down regardless of the distance between them. He spoke with assurance as if he had seen Li Lingtian being cut in half. Ignorant. Myriad swords returned to the origin. Li Lingtian scoffed coldly as he unleashed the myriad returning swords that he had comprehended. Instantly, regardless of the warrior's swords, they could feel the summoning of the sword will. Countless swords surged toward Li Lingtian. Thousands of sharp swords, spirit weapons, profound weapons, emperor weapons, and any other sword were summoned. A world of swords was formed between heaven and earth. Li Lingtian hovered in the air and swung the Tianyu sword in his hand. Instantly, thousands of sharp swords shot toward the saber radiance with devastating attacks. Yan Qingming was stunned when he saw the countless sharp swords. He never thought that the most terrifying move of the legendary sword Dao would appear. Not only him, Fairy Spirit Phoenix and Lord Yuanlong were also shocked. In the sky, the sword intent destroyed the world. Thousands of sharp swords shot out, and the world exploded. The saber light turned into nothingness, and all the sharp swords were doubled in power. They instantly covered a radius of 1,000 meters, and Yan Qingming was drowned in the sword rain. All. In the rain of swords there was a shrill scream. Facing the attack of thousands of spirit weapons, profound weapons, and even emperor weapons, let alone a supreme realm expert, even a martial monarch realm expert would lose a layer of skin if they did not die. My spirit weapon. This is my profound armament. The supreme grade profound armament is gone just like that. Damn it, this is my only emperor artifact. 10,000 swords to the origin, you really deserve to die. Countless martial artists revealed a pained expression. Their treasures had actually been summoned away, and used as a sharp weapon by others. Their hearts immediately ached. Myriad swords returned to the origin. Return to your positions. Just as the powerhouses who had lost their treasures were feeling the pinch, Li Lingtian's divine consciousness moved, and he brandished the Tianyu sword in his hand. Thousands of sharp swords returned to their owners. Yan Qingming floated in the air. His body was not complete at all, and streams of sword intent were drifting out of his body. His life force gradually dissipated, and his eyes were filled with unwillingness. He, a dignified supreme realm expert, was actually killed by the myriad swords returning to the origin. Second brother. Yan Qingfeng shouted loudly in the sky. His voice was extremely sorrowful. Rumble. As soon as he finished speaking, another earth-shattering explosion sounded. The silver-winged flying dragon also roared violently, completely displaying the terrifying power of a sixth-order monster beast. Li Lingtian's body swayed and the Tianyu sword disappeared. It returned to his dantian and he spat out a mouthful of blood. If he used the myriad returning swords once, his sword intent would disappear within a month and he would no longer be able to use sword intent. This was the price he was talking about. Such a price had indeed taken away a supreme realm expert. His Zhen Yuan had completely disappeared. He threw a heaven-defying pill into his mouth and his Zhen Yuan instantly recovered to its peak. What kind of pill did he use just now? It actually instantly restored his true essence. This is too heaven-defying. If there was such a medicinal pill, it would be completely undying. If I have a few bottles of such pills, my true chi will be endless. Hey, you guys don't know yet. He's a top alchemist. He can naturally refine some mysterious pills. Countless powerhouses witnessed Li Lingtian's actions and instantly recovered their true essence. How could they not be shocked by such a terrifying thing? Crash. At this moment, A strange sound rang out between heaven and earth. A mysterious black-robed man appeared. His appearance destroyed the reincarnation cycle of heaven and earth. Yan Qingshan also appeared in the air. After he came out, he realized that Yan Qingming had disappeared, and immediately felt that something was wrong. Because he had been in the darkness of reincarnation, he did not know what had happened. Li Lingtian was still around while his second brother, Yan Qingming, had disappeared. Meanwhile, Yan Qingfeng was still fighting a silver-winged flying dragon. Big brother, second brother was killed by this bastard. Quickly take revenge for second brother. In the sky, Yan Qingfeng was instantly incomparably excited when he saw his big brother come out. If big brother did not come out soon, he would be killed by Li Lingtian and the silver-winged flying dragon. He would have to leave this world with second brother. What? Qingming died. Yan Qingshan was shocked and spat out a mouthful of blood. This news had given him a heavy blow. Yan Qingming, who had the strongest cultivation, had also been killed. What exactly had happened? Tong Yunfei, are you going to interfere? At this moment, Lord Yuanlong spoke up. Yan Qingshan was originally trapped inside, but judging from the current situation, Li Lingtian and the silver-winged flying dragon could kill Yan Qingfeng with their combined forces. Victory was in sight. However, he didn't expect that someone would suddenly appear. Others might not know this mysterious man in black, but he knew this mysterious man in black. He was the superpower house of Kanglan building, the second level of the supreme realm Tong Yunfei. Humph, the Yin family is a subordinate force of the House of Storms. The Queen's Palace and the Windy Moon Palace are interfering in the affairs of soliciting Moon City. Are we going to stand by and watch? Tong Yunfei said loudly, his face full of disdain. He turned around and sent a voice transmission to Yan Qingshan. Yan Qingshan's face revealed a hint of excitement as he charged at Li Lingtian in a flash. The Queen's Palace is only watching the battle and did not interfere. The House of Storms is very good. They actually interfered with the Yin family's affairs in front of everyone. Since when was the Yin family a subsidiary force of the House of Storms? Fairy Spirit Phoenix said coldly. She was about to dodge when she saw Yan Qingshan attacking Li Lingtian but was stopped by Tong Yunfei. What? Are the three of us going to fight? Tong Yunfei waved his hand, and a silk banner appeared in his hand. The true qi in his body gradually circulated, and he seemed to have the intention to make a move. Humph, is the Windy Moon Palace afraid of your House of Storms? The axe of ascension in Lord Yuanlong's hand was also displayed. The three of them formed a corner formation. Rumble. The three of them were in a stalemate, but in the sky, the two battle groups were locked in a fierce battle. More blood trickled down Li Lingtian's lips. Yan Qingshan's attack did not give him any chance to breathe. He was suppressed for a moment. As a martial arts grandmaster, he could not even use his treasures or skills. He could only rely on his powerful physique and the true dragon's body protection to resist. Kanglan House, I will remember this. If one don't die, I will wipe out your Kanglan House. Li Lingtian's voice rang out in the air, shocking tens of thousands of powerhouses. He actually dared to say that he wanted to wipe out one of the three super forces of the Azure continent, the House of Storms. If he wasn't arrogant, then he must be a fool. However, countless warriors showed admiration. At this time, he still said that he wanted to wipe out the House of Storms. Previously, they had promised to wipe out the Yin clan. Now, one of the Yin clan's revered martial artists had been killed and there were two left. One of them was pinned down by the silver-winged flying dragon while Li Lingtian was facing another. Alright, let's see how you escape today. If you survive, it's not too late to say this. Tong Yunfei was stunned. He had never thought that someone would say that they wanted to wipe out the House of Storms. Moreover, it was a young man who was a martial arts grandmaster. Was this not a joke? In his heart, he did not take it to heart at all. Instead, he felt that it was a little novel. Divine destruction to the extreme, heavenly might. Yan Qingshan watched as Li Lingtian kept flashing and finally seized the opportunity. He quickly waved his hands in the air and a heavenly might appeared. The appearance of the heavenly might made the warriors in the world feel a mysterious pressure, and they were on the verge of kneeling down. Li Lingtian's heart was trembling as well. His eyes were filled with fear as he looked up into the sky. A destructive heavenly will came crashing down from his line of sight. Chapter 274 Chapter 274 God's wrath descends from the heavens. Chapter 274 God's wrath descends from the heavens. Li Lingtian was beyond shocked when he felt the terrifying and mysterious pressure. The dragon chi from the divine dragon ring quickly surged into his body, hoping to defend against this extreme god destroyer with offense. Flying dragon strength. With a roar, a shocking dragon energy soared into the sky. Two wyverns appeared, but they felt a hint of fear when they sensed the destructive aura in the air. However, this wyvern was only a power that he had cultivated. It did not resist at all and ruthlessly bombarded the god destroyer in the sky. Boom! With a loud explosion, the flying dragon disappeared and Li Lingtian was blasted down. The reincarnation peak trembled and Li Lingtian vanished as well. He was completely buried in the soil. The ground collapsed and only after a few breaths of time did it calm down. However, Li Lingtian was nowhere to be seen. There was no trace of his aura as if he had vanished. He won't die just like that, right? The divine destruction is extremely powerful. Only a few people can survive the attack. Is it going to end like this? He should have fallen. There's no trace of his aura. Some of the warriors began to discuss among themselves. With a single move of divine destruction, Li Lingtian was blasted into the ground without a trace of his aura. Tong Yunfei, you gave the god destroyer to the Yin family. Are you really going to make enemies of the Queen's Palace and the Wind Moon Palace? When Lord Yuanlong saw Li Lingtian disappear without a trace, he knew that things were not looking good. When they spoke, they also pulled the Queen's Palace together. At least two forces were more powerful. Humph, I've already said that the Yin family is a subsidiary force of the House of Storms. They're just trash. If they die, so be it. Tong Yunfei said coldly, his eyes revealing a disdainful look. However, the only one who knew the inside story was that even the Queen's Palace and the Wind Moon Palace combined were no match for the House of Storms. Go and deal with that demonic beast. Don't waste time here. Tong Yunfei turned around and commanded Yin Qingshan coldly. He was already enough to hold back two revered martial artists. Li Lingtian had been killed and there was no need to waste time here. His own matters were more important. All the warriors used their divine perception to search the surroundings, but they could not find any trace of Li Lingtian's aura. At this moment, a shocking amount of spiritual energy condensed between heaven and earth, constantly stirring the space. In the sky, streaks of heavenly might descended. All the martial artists were shocked to death. They wanted to escape, but they could not move at all under this heavenly might. Tong Yunfei, Fairy Spirit Phoenix, and Lord Yuanlong were all shocked. This heavenly might came so suddenly, as if a super expert had arrived. Even Supreme Realm experts felt a trace of fear under this kind of heavenly might. Tong Yunfei, you will stay here forever today. The wrath of the gods. In the air, the spiritual chi within a radius of 1,000 miles condensed, forming a huge pillar of light between heaven and earth. At this moment, a cold voice sounded. As soon as the voice fell, a strange roar appeared in the sky, as if the heavens were furious. Not good, a heaven-grade divine ability. Tong Yunfei was extremely shocked. This was the first time he had encountered such a threat of death. Even when he met a 5th-level martial honored realm expert, he did not feel this way. He immediately realized that the power in the air was that of a legendary heaven-grade divine art. Great cloud palm, heaven and earth shaking. Tong Yunfei's heart trembled. He didn't have the slightest confidence in facing this god's wrath. He tapped his forehead with his divine sense and a golden light appeared. The golden light flashed and an ancient book appeared in his palm. The book emitted a terrifying power that continued to increase. Tong Yunfei's face was getting paler and paler, because he had to pay a huge price to control this treasure. True essence flowed continuously into the book, and he almost collapsed. In the sky, Li Lingtian had traces of blood at the corner of his mouth. His face was filled with madness as his hair was blown away by the strong wind. Fairy Spirit Phoenix, let's get rid of these two. The Origin Dragon Pavilion sent a voice transmission to Fairy Spirit Phoenix, who was not far away. Alright, you sneak attack Yin Qingfeng. I'll use the Divine Phoenix Zither to kill Yin Qingshan. Fairy Spirit Phoenix also sent a voice transmission back. After which, the two of them nodded and instantly disappeared. Ding! Ding! In the air, a crisp zither sounded, and the destructive sound waves disappeared from the world. At the same time, a shocking power was emitted from the horizon. A huge axe slashed down as if it ignored the distance between them. Ah! All! With two screams, Yin Qingfeng was cut into two halves. At the same time, he was at the first level of the martial honored realm. However, His Excellency Yuanlong controlled the divine axe. Coupled with the sneak attack, Yin Qingfeng was not prepared at all. He did not know what was going on until he died. The silver-winged flying dragon's body flashed and quickly shot toward Yin Qingshan. The silver-winged flying dragon, which had gained intelligence, naturally knew the enemy of the Yin family. Since Yin Qingfeng had fallen, it would naturally look for Yin Qingshan. Under the sound wave attack, Yin Qingshan's mind was in a daze as miserable cries sounded. Rumble! The silver-winged flying dragons kept attacking Yin Qingshan. Fairy Lingfeng's Divine Phoenix Zither and the silver-winged flying dragon suppressed Yin Qingshan. However, at this moment the two destructive auras in the world collided. Li Lingtian hovered in the sky. Endless thunder and destructive attacks surrounded him. Countless destructive thunder and attacks swooped down. In the face of these attacks, even space itself trembled. Meanwhile, Tong Yunfei, who was below, was also extremely shocked. His shocking great cloud palm kept blocking the god's fury descending from the sky. The destruction of the god's wrath descended from the heavens. Each of its streaks was as powerful as a martial emperor's taboo. Li Lingtian's face turned ghastly pale. He no longer had any true essence in his body. After using the heavens' descending divine wrath, he no longer had any true essence to use. Moreover, his body could not support him to use other powerful skills. The endless divine wrath continued to bombard the earth. Even the martial artists hundreds of miles away were constantly torn apart by the residual force, as if the end of the world had arrived. Countless warriors were torn apart and killed instantly. The reincarnation peak continued to collapse. In the blink of an eye, 2,000-meter-tall mountains were flattened. Tong Yunfei became the target of the god's wrath. Even with the great cloud palm, he couldn't resist it. He wanted to leave, but under the wrath of the gods, he was unable to use his movement technique at all. It was as if he was locked on. He forcefully moved a step, but it was useless because the range of the divine wrath of heaven's attack was 100 miles. Rumble! The explosions continued as Li Lingtian's vital essence was depleted. He looked as if the divine rage was about to disappear. Without his support, the time for the god's wrath to descend was limited. Let's see how much true chi you have. Tong Yunfei had also discovered this problem. As long as he did not die before Li Lingtian's true essence was exhausted, the divine wrath would stop. However, as soon as he finished speaking, he realized that something was not right as Li Lingtian revealed a strange smile on his face. Devouring light. Li Lingtian shouted softly as he waved his hands continuously. Instantly, all the spirit chi, demonic energy, and warrior's true origin within 1,000 miles rushed toward Li Lingtian's hands. Within 1,000 miles, spirit chi, demonic energy, true essence, warriors and demonic beasts were devoured by Li Lingtian's devouring light, as long as they had strength. My primeval essence. Not good. It's the devour skill. This devour can devour a warrior's true chi for its own use. We're done for. My primeval essence. Terrified cries rang out. Tens of thousands of experts were panicking. They did not expect their true essence to be devoured by someone at this time. Fairy Spirit Phoenix and Lord Yuanlong were also extremely shocked. The true essence in their bodies began to flow out continuously. Seal your true essence. Fairy Spirit Phoenix softly reminded Lord Yuanlong. Her body burst out and quickly left the flame-green mountain. When she left, a terrifying power blasted out. All. Yan Qingshan saw the destructive attack coming and circulated the true essence in his body. However, the faster the true essence circulated, the faster the true essence flowed out. By the time he discovered it, his true essence had already completely disappeared. Li Lingtian's face revealed a pained expression as tens of thousands of powerhouses, true essence and the heaven and earth spirit qi gathered rapidly. With the nourishment of tens of thousands of experts and the spiritual qi of heaven and earth, the true essence in his body recovered to his entire body, and his entire body became a carrier. The true essence that he devoured was added to the divine wrath of the heavens, and the power of the divine wrath of the heavens instantly increased by several times. Rumble! Rumble! The reincarnation peak had disappeared, and the lake was completely destroyed. The area within 100 miles was in a mess. Crash! Finally, Tong Yunfei's defense was broken, and he was exposed to the wrath of the gods. Endless destructive attacks bombarded his body, and in an instant, his entire body turned into ashes. Destroy! Seeing Tong Yunfei fall, Li Lingtian activated his divine consciousness and unleashed a divine wrath from the heavens at Yan Qingshan. Rumble! Yan Qingshan, who did not have any treasures to resist, did not have the slightest resistance. His entire person was crushed into ashes under the wrath of the gods. Rumble! Li Lingtian's eyes revealed a crazed look as he unleashed all of his divine wrath. Tens of thousands of martial artists, true essence flowed out crazily, and the ground continued to collapse. Swoosh! As the final gust of wind blew, the divine wrath from heaven vanished. The world was destroyed and tens of thousands of warriors lost their true essence. They looked at Li Lingtian helplessly in the sky. The area within 100 miles had turned into hell, and there was no spiritual energy left. At that moment, Li Lingtian's body swayed as he spat out a mouthful of blood. The devouring light backfired, and he was on the verge of destruction. No matter what skill it was, there was a price he had to pay for every destructive attack. He landed on the silver-winged flying dragon, and with a flick of his divine consciousness, Little White appeared. A white shadow then disappeared. The white shadow then flashed on the ground and in the air before returning to Li Lingtian's side in a few seconds. Chapter 275 Chapter 275 Self-Healing Body Chapter 275 Self-Healing Body Li Lingtian looked at the storage pouches of the 3 Yin clan's revered martial artists in his hands without any change in expression. Because there was still one person whose storage bag was missing, that was the martial honor Tong Yunfei who was killed. In front of the god's wrath, Tong Yunfei was struck and dissipated. However, Tong Yunfei's storage bag had disappeared. With Little White's sharp sense of smell, it was impossible for such a thing to happen. Something must have happened. He could survive in the face of Archigod Destroyer, so as a martial honor, Tong Yunfei naturally had some mysterious means to survive. From the beginning to the end, no one had thought of how Li Lingtian had survived the ultimate divine destruction. Naturally, they did not know that Li Lingtian also had an earth-type martial soul with 5 elements perfection. He refined the space banner in his body and cast spatial translocation to enter the ground. With the help of the heavy power of Archie Earth, he offset the endless destructive power and was able to breathe in the earth. With the spatial banner, he could naturally carefully avoid all the martial artist's divine sense lock-on. Moreover, the situation at that time was earth-shattering. Even a supreme realm expert would die. No one would doubt that he could survive as a young martial arts grandmaster. Keep an eye on him. Li Lingtian steeled his heart and ordered the silver-winged flying dragon coldly. Little White was also on the silver-winged flying dragon just in case. With that, he turned into a shooting star and shot toward the ground. The moment his body touched the ground, there was no sound. It was as if they had entered archy water. This situation stunned countless martial artists. It was truly unimaginable that he could do this against Ari hard ground. Even if a stone was thrown into the water would still ripple. However, Li Lingtian's body had mysteriously sunk into the ground. Not only was there no trace of it, there was not even a sound. Boom! After entering the earth, the dense earth energy entered his body. This was the thickness of the earth. Li Lingtian felt the weight and safety of the earth, and his heart gradually relaxed. His divine consciousness transformed into 1,000 and finally entered the earth. He put away his ice soul martial soul and flaming sacred body. He used his earth martial soul and instantly merged with the earth. His body was not obstructed by the earth at all. The earth was like air in front of him. Not good, the body of earth healing. After Li Lingtian's divine consciousness transformed into 1,000, countless divine consciousness searched within 100 miles of reincarnation peak. Finally, a faint aura appeared. The aura was extremely weak, but to Li Lingtian's surprise, there was more than one aura. Instead, it was the aura of tens of thousands of strands. This aura was obviously the fragments of Tong Yunfei after he was destroyed. The thing that could heal itself with the help of the power of the earth after being destroyed was the legendary healing body. Upon realizing that Tong Yunfei had not truly perished, Li Lingtian quickly calculated in his heart. He had no way to stop the earth healing body now. If he was reborn, he would not only face a second-level Supreme Realm expert, but also a third-level Supreme Realm expert. Heaven and Earth Creation Cauldron withdraw. All of a sudden, he thought of a plan, which was to take away a portion of the aura of these fragments. No matter how powerful the healing body was, it would be impossible for it to be completely reborn. Instantly, the Heaven and Earth Creation Cauldron emitted a faint light, which disappeared into the ground. In the sky, tens of thousands of warriors were looking down curiously, wondering what Li Lingtian was doing. Only Fairy Spirit Phoenix, Lord Yuanlong, and some super experts understood something, but they did not dare to imagine it. Rumble. On the ground, a halo burst out, and two figures soared into the sky. There was a trace of blood at the corner of Li Lingtian's mouth as he hovered in the air and stared at the other party solemnly. He did not expect that a gray bead would start spinning when he used the Heaven and Earth Creation Cauldron. The Earth Elemental Spiritual Qi surged rapidly and countless auras gathered together. Tong Yunfei appeared once again, and the Heaven and Earth Creation Cauldron only took a small portion of his aura. Seeing Tong Yunfei's body condense, he unleashed a heaven-shattering, earth-shattering attack. However, this attack couldn't cause the other party to disperse. Whoosh! All the warriors were shocked. They looked at Tong Yunfei in the air as if they had seen a ghost. Because Tong Yunfei only had half of his body and lacked the rest of his aura, the self-healing body couldn't completely revive him. Call out my soul and I'll spare your life. Tong Yunfei's face was filled with rage. He had never thought that he would be plotted against by a martial arts grandmaster youth. He had been destroyed by the wrath of RE gods. He had relied on the miraculous self-healing body of the earth to hide in the ground and heal himself. However, he did nor expect to be plotted against by this young man again. He stared at the Heaven and Earth Creation Cauldron in Li Lingtian's hands in horror as he spoke fiercely. If he could not obtain the other souls, it would take him at least 100 years to regain his original cultivation base and appearance. Yes. A cruel smile appeared on Li Lingtian's face. With a wave of his hand, he conjured a ball of icy frost flame. The icy frost flame entered Arch Heaven and Earth Creation Cauldron and instantly ignited countless souls. With a thought, the Heaven and Earth Creation Cauldron was purr away and entered the Divine Dragon Ring. Damn it! Seeing this, Tong Yunfei was instantly enraged. His soul would not be able to be preserved by such a cold ice flame. As soon as he finished speaking, a shocking pressure pressed down on Li Lingtian. Life force. Tong Yunfei revealed a vicious expression. Since he wanted to destroy himself, then he would destroy you first. He didn't use any weapons, but circulated a terrifying true essence. The purest true essence in the world was the most terrifying power. The attack pierced through the air. This young master will let you die completely. Heaven Extreme Tyrant Emperor Saber Destruction. With a thought of his divine sense, the Heaven Extreme Tyrant Emperor Saber was displayed. This divine artifact had always been incomparably mysterious. Up until now, he had gained partial control of the Roaring Dragon Combat Halberd, but he had no control over the Heaven Extreme Tyrant Emperor Saber at all. Even if he had cultivated the treasure control art, he could only control a little in front of him. He could only prevent his meridians from being destroyed when he used the Heaven Extreme Tyrant Emperor Saber. In the sky, a shocking pressure wreaked havoc within a radius of 100 miles. What a terrifying pressure. It's the pressure of a treasure. This treasure is at least a saint artifact. I didn't think that a person would actually be able to control several saint artifacts. What a perverted pressure. Countless martial artists displayed their defenses to resist the crushing pressure. At the same time, he kept retreating. If he was accidentally killed, it would be a mistake. Boom! With a shocking explosion, the saber light of Arch Heavenly Extreme Tyrant Emperor Saber collided with the life force of the true essence. Immediately, the life force was destroyed and the saber light disappeared. At that moment, Li Lingtian's lips curled into an evil smile. With a flick of his finger, a rain of fire fell from the sky. After casting everything, more blood flowed out of the corner of his mouth and his face was as pale as a sheet of paper. Chi 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 chi. A shocking rain of fire descended within a radius of 100 meters. Meteor Shower was an advanced Earth tier skill. Li Lingtian's Tier 7 Warrior Ascendant Cultivation Base was able to unleash a terrifying power. In addition, he had the Sacred Body of Flames and had absorbed the Empyrean Demon's Sacred Flame, the Nine Suns' Sacred Flame, and the Fire Dragon's Heart. The flames in his hands were countless times stronger than ordinary experts. Even the flames of a Supreme Realm expert were child's play in front of him. In the sky, sizzling sounds could be heard continuously. Tong Yunfei kept waving his hands to knock away the terrifying fire rain. However, at this moment, more than 10 fire rain landed on his body and couldn't be knocked away anymore. More than 10 fiery raindrops were like shadows attached to his body. What was even more terrifying was that these fiery raindrops directly entered his body and quickly destroyed his meridians and dantian. Ice Flame. Tong Yunfei finally realized that he had been tricked when he recalled Li Lingtian's control of the ice flame. All of the other party's attacks were used to conceal these cold ice flames. The attack that truly killed him was not the Heaven Extreme Tyrant Emperor Saber, nor was it the rain of fire that filled the sky. It was these tensome fine cold ice flames. With a cry of alarm, all the warriors understood that Tong Yunfei had been tricked again. Moreover, he was entangled by the ice-cold flame. Ah! Tong Yunfei screamed as he rolled in the air. The ice flames formed a patch and devoured the true qi in his meridians. The ice flame was a cold air that could freeze the world and a temperature that could burn everything. The destructive effect produced by the combination of the two mutants was nor something that an attack could compare to. Ah! The screams became weaker and weaker, and the last scream turned his body into air. A trace of his soul was also burned, and his true essence completely became a tonic for the cold ice flames. The air finally quieted down. All the martial artists were shocked. In less than 10 minutes, Art's 3 revered martial artists were killed. Even Tong Yunfei of Ari House of Storms was lulled. There were many unforeseen events in the process, but no matter what, they were all under Li Lingtian's control. In the end, he had completely annihilated the 4 revered martial artists. One was a 7th-tier martial arts grandmaster youth, and the other was a silver-winged flying dragon. All kinds of schemes were carried out step by step, and the 4 martial honors were also included in the scheme. He retracted the ice flame and could not hold it in any longer. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Sir Lingtian, I'll take my leave. Take care. His Excellency Yuanlong had a lot on his mind. After Li Lingtian had completely lulled Tong Yunfei, he cupped his fists and bade farewell. There was no point for him to stay here. Moreover, he had to report some things back because it was related to the relationship between the Wind Moon Palace and the House of Storms. Thank you, Dragonpool Pavilion. Here are a few medicinal pills. One hope you can use them. Li Lingtian was stunned for a moment. He understood what Lord Yuanlong was worried about. Although there were 2 revered martial artists watching the battle, they were of great help to him. Moreover, he had offended the House of Storms by killing Tong Yunfei. His Excellency Yuanlong naturally had to go back. With a flick of his divine sense, a jade bottle appeared in front of him. 5 pills floated in the air. With a wave of his hand, the 5 pills flew toward Lord Yuanlong. You can only take it once a day. It's useless to take it more than once. Li Lingtian reminded him. If he continued to use the pills, not only would he waste RHE pills, he might even lose his life. Sir Lingtian, thank you. Yuan Long was stunned for a moment before his face lit up with excitement. He had also thought that this pill should be the kind that could instantly restore Li Lingtian's true essence. If he had a few of these pills, he would have an extra chance to save his life. Chapter 276 Chapter 276 Great Cloud Palm. Chapter 276 Great Cloud Palm. After Lord Yuanlong finished speaking, his body flashed and in an instant, he was already in the sky. Bengong is leaving. Be careful, don't make my sister sad. Fairy Spirit Phoenix said as she watched Yuanlong leave. However, she did not expect Yuanlong to be one step ahead of her. Your sister. Thank you for your help, Fairy. I am extremely grateful. When the time comes, I will head to the Queen's Palace to visit Fairy. Help me. Or deliver this. Li Lingtian did not even look at the jade bottle after he finished speaking. With a flick of his finger, the jade bottle quickly flew toward Fairy Spirit Phoenix. He didn't even need to think about it. Since he could come and help her, it must be someone that Shun Mei was very familiar with. Since he said that he wouldn't let her sister be sad, it must be Mei Er's sister. It would be unreasonable to give 5 medicinal pills, but His Excellency Yuanlong only had 5. He could only say that this medicinal pill was for Mei Er. Don't worry, I'll tell her about you. Under the veil, a faint smile appeared on Fairy Spirit Phoenix's cold face. She took the jade bottle and the flying ship quickly flew into the sky. Disciples of the Yen family, leave Moonrise City within a day. Li Lingtian's cold gaze swept across the tens of thousands of warriors as he spoke coldly. The silver-winged flying dragon flapped its huge wings and the silver light was already on the horizon. In the blink of an eye, the silver-winged flying dragon disappeared into the horizon with Li Lingtian. He left behind a light sentence that did not seem threatening at all. However, it gave the impression that there was no room for resistance. Words that were not threatening were indeed the most threatening words coming out of Li Lingtian's mouth. He had killed the Yen clan's revered martial artists. If the Yen clan did not leave Moonrise City within a day, they would be courting death. Tens of thousands of warriors gradually left. Looking at the reincarnation peak, they didn't know when the divine formation had been taken away. No one had expected that this place was the burial place of 4 revered martial artists. He did not expect that a young martial arts grandmaster would scheme against the 3 martial arts venerables of the Yen family and kill them one by one. Tong Yunfei's appearance was a change, but this change caused Tong Yunfei's death. This was courting death. If he was sent here, he would naturally be beaten to death. In an instant, Li Lingtian had become the nightmare of countless powerhouses. Despite his cultivation as a martial arts grandmaster, he was able to unleash all sorts of skills and sacred weapons. According to the rules of the divine martial continent, no matter how powerful a martial arts grandmaster was, he could not defeat a martial emperor. Even a peak rank 9 martial arts grandmaster could not be a match for a rank 1 martial emperor. Not to mention the martial ancestor realm martial honor realm. A martial honor realm was a legend and an invincible existence. Even if a martial arts grandmaster could kill a martial emperor could not kill a martial honor. Otherwise, countless martial emperors in Green Continent would be swept away by a martial honor. In front of a martial honor, no matter how many martial emperors there were, they were still ants. It was like countless ants facing a monstrous wave. This time, however, Li Lingtian's appearance broke the pattern in the hearts of all the warriors. Not only did a Tier 7 martial arts grandmaster kill a martial honor, he had also killed 4 of them. Moonrise City was turned upside down. Li Lingtian's name resounded throughout all the powerhouses in Moonrise City. However, Li Lingtian had returned to the top-notch cave abode to recuperate. This time, he appeared to be unharmed, but his injuries were extremely serious. His heart was still trembling. He was completely treading on thin ice against 4 Supreme Realm experts. If there was a problem in one link, he would not be harmed. Moreover, after Tong Yunfei appeared, an unforeseen event happened. This unforeseen event almost sent him into the 18th level of hell. Fortunately, his last attack, the god's fury, had swallowed all the true essence of the warriors. In this way, Tong Yunfei was completely destroyed. Changes could happen at any time in a war. A war without changes wouldn't be called a war. Therefore, after the wrath of the gods descended from the sky, he was no longer shocked by Tong Yunfei's self-healing body. "Young master, I heard that you killed the 3 revered martial artists." Qingling's face lit up with excitement when she saw Li Lingtian return. He had been waiting in the cave abode and was extremely worried. He was facing 3 Supreme Realm experts. However, she could only stay in the cave dwelling. There was no news of a great battle coming from below. In the end, when he heard that young master had killed the 3 revered martial artists, he was so shocked that he felt dizzy. The 3 revered martial artists had also been killed by young master. "Yes. Don't let anyone disturb me. I want to heal my injuries." Li Lingtian called the silver wing flying dragon into the divine dragon ring before he walked into the practice room alone. When he entered, he told Qingling not to disturb him. This time he didn't seem to be injured, but he had to pay a heavy price every time he used all kinds of skills and divine weapons. Furthermore, it was the first time he had used the myriad returning swords and the divine wrath of heaven. The myriad returning swords were treasures of experts. He had also forcefully summoned them. The wrath of the gods was even more serious because he had used the devouring light to devour the true essence of countless martial artists. Now the true essence in his body was still in chaos. Although the 5 elements had reached perfection, the true essence of these martial artists was different. The strength and nature were also unstable. He had to refine these remaining true essence now. "The Yin family, leave soliciting Moon City within a day. If you don't leave, ask Qingyun to pass on my order to wipe out all the disciples of the Yin family. The Yin family cannot be taken over." After Li Lingtian finished speaking, he cast a restriction and closed his eyes to regulate his breathing. He then began to repair his meridians and refine his quintessential essence. This cultivation and refinement took a full month. In the past month, Moonrise City's forces had been reshuffled. All the disciples of the Yin family left the city within a day. Countless low-level disciples under the Qingyun sect guarded the Yin family. Even though the people under Clear Sky were warrior spirits and martial kings, and there were no martial grandmasters, no one in soliciting Moon City dared to touch them because they had Li Lingtian behind them. The entire Moonrise City had become a strange place. Li Lingtian from the Divine Pill Pavilion was powerful, and no one dared to provoke him. However, no one dared to approach him either. This was because Li Lingtian had the support of the Queen's Palace and the Windy Moon Palace, but he had offended the House of Storms. The House of Storms' influence was extremely terrifying. Even the Queen's Palace and the Wind Moon Palace did not dare to provoke the House of Storms. Now, Li Lingtian had single-handedly stirred up the 3 superpowers. Li Lingtian did not expect such a change. His original intention was to build his own faction, but it seemed impossible now. A month had passed. Li Lingtian's body had refined and absorbed so much true essence. Coupled with the power of the elixir, he had achieved Tier 8 martial arts grandmaster in one fell swoop. On this day, Li Lingtian opened his eyes after he had finished his cultivation. With a flick of his divine sense, 4 storage pouches appeared in front of him. The 4 storage pouches belonged to Wu Zun. Seeing the 4 storage bags, he was also curious. He wondered what kind of wealth a martial honor had. The strength of a place or force could be determined by the wealth of a martial honor. Oh! This was the first time he had obtained a Supreme Realm storage bag. He did not expect to obtain 4 at once. However, the price he had paid was that he had almost died. That's not right. Li Lingtian opened the 3 storage pouches. They were the storage pouches of the Yin clan's 3 martial honors. In the storage bag there were only some medicinal pills and cultivation technique jade slips, but there were no spirit stones or medicinal herbs. The 3 Supreme Realm experts were the same. There were 3 Supreme Grade Emperor weapons, more than 10 Earth Grade skills, and the rest were all ordinary. The only thing they could tell was that the 3 old men did not carry their wealth with them. Instead, they had hidden it. Then he opened Tong Yunfei's storage bag. This storage bag made him excited. Great Cloud Palm. a low-level heaven-tier skill. This skill that could resist God's descent was also a heaven-rank skill. Although it couldn't compare to his God's descent, it was still powerful enough. There were also 3 billion spirit stones, countless precious materials, and a middle-grade heaven artifact inside. This kind of wealth was indeed what a revered martial artist should have. However, when he was puzzled, a jade slip was sealed by his divine sense. It was also sealed by Tong Yunfei's divine sense. He did not care. Since he was valued by a second-level Supreme Realm expert, he must not be simple. After tidying up everything, he left the training room. This was the first time he had left the training room in a month. Since the wealth of the 3 revered martial artists of the Yin family was not in the storage bag, they should have hidden it. "Do you want to go out with me?" Li Lingtian asked when he saw Qing Ling resting outside. As he spoke, he played with a jade slip in his hand. This jade slip was the map and key to the Yin family's secret chamber. "Young master, you want to go out? This servant will go too." Qing Ling was elated when she saw that Li Lingtian had come out, and his injuries were completely healed. Li Lingtian was used to this little girl addressing him as a servant in front of him as well as Qing Ling. However, it was rather interesting to address her as a servant in bed. "Let's go." Li Lingtian nodded and took the lead to walk out. He activated the restriction and the two of them left the cave abode quickly. He didn't say which cave he was going to, and Qing Ling followed him. The two of them were on the streets. Countless warriors stood respectfully at the side when they saw Li Lingtian, not daring to provoke or block his way. Now that Moonrise City knew that Li Lingtian had killed 4 revered martial artists, no one dared to provoke the killer god. After walking for a while, Li Lingtian thought about it and realized that he could not continue like this. If he wanted to go to the Yen family, he would have to walk until tomorrow. With a flash, he pulled Qing Ling into his arms and flew into the distance like a gust of wind. Qing Ling's heart was beating fast. When they were alone, she didn't feel anything. But on the streets, this was the first time she had such close contact with young master. In less than 10 minutes, Li Lingtian stopped. He looked at the tall and magnificent gate and the 100-mile-wide mansion behind it with a faint smile on his face. This was the mysterious and powerful clan in Moonrise City, but it was now empty. "Young master." When Li Lingtian arrived at the door, a warrior king disciple stepped forward and bowed respectfully with a look of admiration on his face. Although he did not witness Li Lingtian killing a revered martial artist, the entire soliciting Moon City was abuzz with the news. Furthermore, all the Yin family disciples had fled like stray dogs. All of this was proof of Li Lingtian's strength. Yes. Li Lingtian headed straight into the mansion. After passing through countless courtyards, he finally reached the deepest part of the mansion. Chapter 277 Chapter 277 Earth Core White Flame. Chapter 277 Earth Core White Flame. His spiritual sense moved and entered the jade slip. Then he sped up and flew toward a hall. The hall was built entirely from bluestone. Hongda's hall was like a palace. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. When he arrived at the hall, Li Lingtian waved his hands and cast a series of spells. After the last spell was cast, a 2-meter-wide hole appeared in the middle of the hall. Below the hole was a long stone staircase. It was unknown how long the stone staircase was or where it extended to. Li Lingtian did not hesitate at all. With a flick of his divine consciousness, he summoned the silver-winged flying dragon and had it guard the place before he brought Qing Ling down. In the dark passage, the stone stairs extended downwards. The deeper they went, the more humid it was, and the air became more and more oppressive. Qing Ling's heart was thumping in such a place. Her little hands were tightly hugging Li Lingtian's arm. After walking for an unknown amount of time, they finally arrived at the end of the stone stairs. At the end was a huge stone door. On the stone door were restrictions and array formations. Open. Li Lingtian took a closer look. These formations were mysterious ancient formations. Even though they were not as good as the ancient divine formation, they were amazing enough. It was rare for him to study these arrays. He sent a strand of true essence into the jade slip. The jade slip emitted a faint light, and the light instantly enveloped the stone door. Creak. Boom. Boom. The stone door slowly opened. However, when the stone door opened, it was a hellish flame inside. Qingling's face immediately turned red. As a warrior, she was naturally unable to withstand such raging flames. Li Lingtian waved his hand and a light shield enveloped Qingling. With the protection of the light pillar, the aura of the flames was completely eliminated. The two of them slowly walked inside. Li Lingtian did not feel anything in the raging flames. He was a flaming sacred body, so naturally, he was not afraid of the flames. In the middle, two passages appeared. On one side there were endless flames. Moreover, these flames were light purple in the depths. Li Lingtian's heart skipped a beat. It was obvious that the flames here were born from heaven and earth. However, he did not know how powerful the flames were. Then he looked at another passage. It was no different from an ordinary passage. He scanned the passage with his divine sense and carefully entered it. The passage was 200 meters long, and it was not a straight line but a winding one. Finally, a spacious underground chamber appeared. Qingling was stunned when Li Lingtian opened the stone door of the chamber with a jade slip. This was because the secret chamber was filled with colorful spiritual qi. There were metal, wood, water, fire, earth, and stone door attribute spirit stones. There were also countless medicinal herbs and weapons, as well as countless cultivation techniques and skills. So many spirit stones. After Qingling exclaimed, she was stunned. She had never seen so many spiritual stones before. Even in the auction house, Li Lingtian was the one who paid for the spiritual stones. Furthermore, they were all packed in storage bags. How could he not be excited when he saw the house full of spiritual stones? Even Li Lingtian was shocked, let alone him. With so many spirit stones, a conservative estimate would be more than 100 billion. The Yen family had actually reached such a huge wealth after searching for tens of thousands of years. Moreover, there were countless weapons and medicinal herbs in the secret chamber. It seemed that these medicinal herbs and weapons were completely plundered. This was because medicinal herbs were not very precious. There were no 100-year-old, 500-year-old, 1,000-year-old, or 10,000-year-old herbs. The weapons were all spirit weapons and profound-level weapons. There were also more than 10 emperor weapons. Not to mention the quality level, just the quantity alone was an astonishing number. Hoarding so much wealth and weapons must be a big scheme. The only explanation was that the Yen family had used this wealth to develop their clan. It seemed that they were quite ambitious. If he used so much wealth to develop his family, he would definitely be powerful. Qingling, move aside. Li Lingtian looked at the spiritual stones and shouted at the stunned Qingling. Since he wanted to use it to develop his faction, he could also use it. These spirit stones could completely establish a sizable faction. With that, he activated the divine dragon ring with his divine sense. A light shadow appeared, and behind it was a mysterious world. Countless spirit stones quickly entered the divine dragon ring. After a full minute, the herbs, weapons, and spirit stones in the secret chamber were all transferred into the divine dragon ring. He was the ruler of the divine dragon ring, so he was naturally very clear about the number inside. After a rough estimation, the number of spirit stones actually reached more than 320 billion. There were also countless medicinal herbs. There were more than 10,000 spirit weapons and profound-level weapons in total, as well as more than 10 imperial weapons. After everything was done, the entire secret chamber was empty. I'll buy you some clothes tonight. Li Lingtian smiled and pinched Qingling's little face. These spiritual stones had numbed him. Young master, how many spirit stones are there? Qingling asked happily. Even though young master had taken all these spirit stones, he would definitely give them to her if she needed them. Just 300 billion. After Li Lingtian finished speaking, he began to search the secret chamber with his divine consciousness but found nothing. Qingling was stunned on the spot. This amount, let alone him, anyone who got it would be shocked. He didn't call out to Qingling, he just hugged her and quickly walked out. He came to the passage of the flames again and his divine sense entered the jade slip. In the end, he muttered to himself. According to the records on the jade slip, the fiery flame passage was the place where the three revered martial artists often went into seclusion. It was indeed rare to choose a training room behind the blazing flames. If the Yen family cultivated a fire-type martial soul, it would be fine. It was also very normal. However, most of the people in the Yen family cultivated ice-type martial souls. This blazing flame was too strange. Xiaobai, look after her. Li Lingtian called Little White out and handed it over to Qing Ling. Little White glanced at Li Lingtian before it snuggled up to Qing Ling and fell asleep. Qing Ling wanted to follow Li Lingtian when she saw him enter the flaming tunnel alone. However, her cultivation was too low, and she did not have the ability to withstand the power of the flames. Chi-chi! Chi-chi! In the fiery passage, endless flames burned continuously, and hissing sounds were heard from time to time. Li Lingtian activated his flaming sacred body. Despite facing the raging flames, he did not feel anything as he walked forward step by step. After an unknown period of time, Li Lingtian realized that the passageway extended downwards. The further down he went, the more terrifying the flames became. Even with his flaming sacred body, he had to circulate his cultivation technique to resist. In the end, he couldn't withstand it. Ice Soul Martial Soul. The flaming sacred body couldn't resist it anymore, so he used the Ice Soul Martial Spirit. Under the double power, the effect of the flame disappeared. Hush! Finally, after passing through the passage, they arrived at an empty space. Rather than calling it an empty space, it was more like the edge of the flames. At that moment, Li Lingtian's gaze was attracted by a ball of white flames that was burning incessantly. This ball of flame was completely different from the other flames. This was because this ball of flames carried a strange earth element aura, as if it had been underground for a long time. Swoosh! At this moment, the white flame flashed and flew up automatically. However, the range of this flame was only within 10 meters. As if he was imprisoned by something, Li Lingtian looked at the ground carefully. He immediately understood that this ball of flames had been imprisoned. There was a mysterious formation on the ground. The formation emitted a faint aura that was enough to confine the white flames. Li Lingtian's interest was piqued when he saw the array diagram. He sat cross-legged and began to study it carefully. Instantly, the expression on his face kept changing, sometimes happy and sometimes depressed. Divine destruction to the extreme. Li Lingtian cried out in surprise. He did not expect the array to contain a heaven-ranked divine ability. He was almost killed by that move. So this was the skill cultivated by the Yen family. However, this divine power skill had a total of 3 moves. Yan Qingshan had not even mastered the first move. Otherwise, even if he had 10 lives, he would have died long ago. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. He flicked his 10 fingers and cast spells one after another. Golden characters were transmitted into his sea of consciousness. Bang! With a soft sound, the formation shattered, and the faint aura dissipated. Just as the formation shattered, the white flames exploded with destructive power. Although it was only the size of a fist, it carried a destructive burning power. Li Lingtian was also hit hard and his body was thrown out with a trace of blood trickling down the corner of his mouth. Earth Core White Flame! Li Lingtian cried out in surprise. The flame was not an ordinary flame but a type of flame, the Earth's Core White Flame. It was one of the most terrifying flames in the world, and this geocentric white flame even had spirituality. Swoosh, swoosh. The geocentric white flame shot straight at Li Lingtian. It was trying to possess him. Li Lingtian smiled bitterly in his heart. What kind of world was this? He had a flaming sacred body, yet he was being possessed by the flames. Was this not a joke? With a thought, he activated the flaming sacred body. The 9 Suns Sacred Flame, the Empyrean Demon Sacred Flame, and the Fire Dragon's Heart were unleashed. Although he had already fused 3 types of flames, he could easily separate them. Now that they were combined, even the most terrifying flames in the world would not dare to say that they were a match for the 3 types of flames in his body. You want to run? There's no way. Seeing that the geocentric white flame was about to escape, Li Lingtian immediately shouted. A tiger that did not show its might would be a sick cat. Now that it had seen how powerful it was, it wanted to run away again. There was no such thing in this world. After saying that, he activated his divine sense and unleashed the raging flames in his body, quickly attacking the earth core white flame. In the blink of an eye, the two raging flames intertwined and a destructive devouring force was emitted in the air. After a quarter of an hour, the geocentric white flame could no longer put up any resistance as it was completely engulfed by Li Lingtian's raging flames. He opened the divine dragon ring with his soul consciousness and took out a jade box. He opened more than 10 seals and restrictions. He grabbed with one hand and the white flame entered the jade box. He closed the box and cast countless seals. The box was covered with restrictions and seals. After everything was done, he threw the box into the divine dragon ring. Chapter 278 Chapter 278 Extinction 1 Chapter 278 Extinction 1 After putting away the geocentric white flame, Li Lingtian looked around and did not find anything else. This place was also where the 3 Supreme Realm experts cultivated. The entire family's wealth had also been taken away by him. The cultivation techniques were all his family's cultivation techniques, and he didn't care about them at all. The only heaven-tier skill, extreme divine destruction, was also in this place. Following that, Li Lingtian's body flashed as he quickly flew out. When he arrived outside, Qingling and Little White were still waiting. Qingling's face was filled with worry and anxiety. He was relieved to see Li Lingtian safely out. "Young master, did you find anything inside?" Qingling knew Li Lingtian's personality well. Under normal circumstances, he would not hide anything from her. In fact, Li Lingtian had nothing to hide. Other than his identity, he had nothing else to hide. As for the origin of the cultivation technique, he had gone to many places to train, so it naturally came from the places where he trained. It's nothing much. One just got a ball of flames. At that time I can raise my ice fire 9 heavens to the 3rd heaven. Li Lingtian had a confident smile on his face. He did not expect to reap such a huge harvest after this battle. He had obtained a great cloud palm and ultimate god destroyer, as well as the Yen family's wealth. He still could not understand why the House of Storms would appear at this time and help the Yen family. He would never believe that they were interested in the Yen family's power. 3 revered martial artists were indeed impressive in a place like soliciting Moon City. However, in the eyes of the House of Storms, revered martial artists were only martial arts grandmasters. It was likely that he had taken a fancy to some item or wealth of the Yen family, or it was this god destroyer. The two of them left the passageway and returned to the hall. The silver-winged flying dragon was retracted. Li Lingtian quickly returned to his cave abode. He had to make some arrangements for his future plans. Now that the Yen clan had been wiped out from Moonrise City, countless major forces had adopted a wait-and-see attitude toward Li Lingtian. After all, Li Lingtian's strength was displayed here. However, he had offended one of the 3 super forces, the House of Storms. If the House of Storms were to come looking for him, no matter how powerful Li Lingtian of the Divine Pill Pavilion was, he would not be able to fend them off. There was more than one revered martial artist in House of Storms. There were even martial emperors, let alone revered martial artists. It was easier to eliminate a martial arts grandmaster than to eliminate an ant. His position in Moonrise City was mysterious. Others did not dare to provoke him easily, nor did they come to curry favor with him. This way it was in line with his wishes. His cultivation base was still too low to leave Moonrise City easily. Unless he encountered some good skill or treasure, or he needed some kind of material, he would definitely not leave easily. It was still his strength. His cultivation was too low. It was impossible for him to really fight with a Supreme Realm expert. In the cave abode, Li Lingtian allowed Green Cloud to develop rapidly. Spiritual stones were not a big deal. The main thing was for him to gain more information. With Qingyun taking care of everything outside and Qingling taking care of the cave, he could cultivate in peace. Li Lingtian sat cross-legged in the practice room with a calm expression on his face. Looks like I have to cultivate the Ice Fire 9 heavens to the 3rd heaven. One also have to fully control the myriad returning swords and the divine wrath of heaven. Also, one have to improve the true dragon body protection. If one can comprehend the extreme god destruction and great cloud palm, that would be even better. Sigh, why can't one control the heaven extreme tyrant emperor saber? Li Lingtian muttered to himself. The only thing he could do now was to upgrade these skills. The improvement of his cultivation was not something that could be done in a day or two. He could only focus on his skills. Thinking of the divine weapon, the heavenly extreme tyrant emperor saber, he always felt regretful in his heart. Even if he used the treasure control technique, he could not completely control it. This was mainly because his cultivation was not enough. Then, he decided to cultivate his skills first and use pills to increase his cultivation. After refining the medicinal pill to increase the realm of the demon beast, the silver-winged flying dragon had completely become his life-saving helper. Following that, Li Lingtian rarely left the cave abode. He spent most of his time in the practice room cultivating his skills, refining pills, heaven and earth reincarnation, and true dragon's body barrier. Naturally, he would not let go of a trump card like the divine array diagram. When he was free, he would check on the news of Moonrise City with Qing Ling, as well as the news around Moonrise City and the movements of the Azure continent. Naturally, the little girl worked hard on her cultivation. She would only stop her cultivation when Li Lingtian was resting to accompany him. With Li Lingtian's guidance, pills, and mystical cultivation methods, her cultivation base improved by leaps and bounds. In just 2 short months, he had already reached Tier 7 warrior spirit. Although it was nothing much, such progress was still shocking. On this day, Li Lingtian was in the practice room with a solemn and serious expression. Ice fire 9 heavens, refine them for me. After pondering for a while and calming himself down, he used his divine consciousness to take out the brocade box from the divine dragon ring. The geocentric white flame was unsealed. Immediately, the destructive devouring power filled the entire training room. Li Lingtian cast a spell and unleashed a powerful inferno. The destructive inferno protected his palms while his left hand was the icy flame while his right hand was the geocentric white flame. With 2 extreme attributes in Li Lingtian's hands, although the icy frost flame was a mutated attribute, Li Lingtian was able to balance the ice and flames under his control. With a determined expression, he circulated his true essence and protected his entire body with the true dragon body barrier. As he clasped his hands together, the 2 ultimate destructive forces collided. Li Lingtian's entire body was caught between ice and fire. This wasn't the first time he had experienced such an experience. He had experienced it when he created the 9 heavens of ice and fire. It was the same when he reached the 2nd heaven. The icy frost flame and the geocentric white flame continued to refine. Finally, after an hour, the 2 ultimate attributes in Li Lingtian's hands were refined. Ice Fire 9 Heavens had also undergone a mutation, and its power was even more terrifying. Inadvertently, a trace of the aura of extermination floated out, causing the power of the Ice/Fire/9 Heavens to reach a level of extermination. Ice Fire 9 Heavens. The 3rd heaven is called extinction. Death, destruction, extermination. Li Lingtian replied indifferently with a hint of vicissitudes on his face. In this world, becoming a powerhouse meant stepping over the corpses of countless geniuses and powerhouses. Since there was a war, people had to die. Those who died were naturally the opponents of death. Extinction was to exterminate all living beings in the world with a single strike. The first 2 moves, each of which carried death and destruction, this one was extermination. Its power was many times stronger than the previous 2. Each level was the distance between heaven and earth. This was the Ice/Fire/9 levels. The current 9 heavens of Ice/Fire, even if he encountered a Supreme Realm expert again, he would still be able to make a Supreme Realm expert lose a layer of skin even if he did not die. For martial artists, no matter whether it was their cultivation method or skill strength, a little improvement would increase their chances of survival. There was no such thing as luck in this world. There was only power. Now that the Ice Fire 9 Heavens had reached the 3rd heaven, his strength had also increased greatly. As long as he did not encounter a Supreme Realm expert, there was no one who could withstand his Ice Fire 9 Heavens. The last time, a rank 9 martial emperor had used the Paradise Mirror to break the Ice Fire 9 Heavens. However, the Paradise Mirror was already in his hands. Moreover, even if someone used the Paradise Mirror now, his Ice Fire 9 heavens would not be broken. When the Ice Fire 9 heavens reached the third heaven, the myriad returning swords also continued to improve, and the true dragon body barrier also gradually strengthened. God's wrath could also slowly improve. Every time he improved, his strength would increase by a level. However, in his spare time, he set his eyes on the extreme god extermination and the great cloud palm. These two were both heaven-grade divine abilities. He didn't care about the other earth-rank skills at all. After all, even if he didn't cultivate a skill that had reached the transcendent state, it would still be at the transcendent state. The transcendent state was the ability to use a skill at will, and its power would reach an unimaginable level. Paradise Mirror, refine. Jade Light Ruler, refine. Shield of the Earth, refine. Clear Wind Shuttle, refine it. Li Lingtian was refining 4 treasures in the practice room. The Grotto Heaven Mirror and the Clear Wind Shuttle were superior imperial weapons, while the Jade Ray Ruler and the Shield of Earth were inferior celestial weapons. Now that he thought about it, he really had some luck in killing Tong Yunfei. Tong Yunfei was caught off guard. He did not know that he would be alive after being killed by the ultimate god destroyer. He could not imagine that Li Lingtian would sneak an attack on him. He did not even have the time to use treasures like the Shield of the Earth and the Jade Light Ruler. If a second-level Supreme Realm expert used a heaven artifact, he would die no matter how powerful he was. Tong Yunfei was the one who died the most grievously. He was killed without even using a single attack. These 2 heaven artifacts were now his. It was rare for him to refine the supreme great emperor artifacts of the Yen family's 3 revered martial artists, so he had his eyes on the Grotto Heaven Mirror and the Bright Wind Shuttle. There were many monarch artifacts in his divine dragon ring, so he naturally had no use for them. Moreover, he did not even have the time to care about divine artifacts. How could he have so much energy to refine an emperor artifact? Now, his opponents were ranked 9 martial emperors and martial honors. As for the experts below ranked 9 martial emperors, he was not in the mood to care about them. After refining several treasures, Li Lingtian walked out with a faint smile on his face. During this period of time, the increase in his strength, the refinement of treasures, and the wealth of the Yen family were all his assets. Now he had about 400 billion spiritual stones in his divine dragon ring. There were also countless medicinal herbs and weapons. If these items were taken out, they would also be worth countless spirit stones. Young master, your strength has increased. You look a little different. Qingling smiled happily when she saw Li Lingtian come out. However, she could not see through Li Lingtian when she looked at him. Yes, I've improved a little. Li Lingtian nodded. It was a good thing that he had gained both cultivation and strength during this period of time. However, he knew that the road ahead of him would be dangerous, and he did not relax at all. The House of Storms was like a huge mountain pressing down on him. He also had to deal with Tang Qingyue and Yun Yaoyao as well as Shun Mei. Chapter 279 Chapter 279 Heaven Nourishing Root. Chapter 279 Heaven Nourishing Root. Qingling was naturally delighted when she heard that Li Lingtian's cultivation base had improved. Li Lingtian's strength would be beneficial to her as well. Regardless of which aspect, Li Lingtian's achievements would determine her fate. If Li Lingtian's strength was too weak, he would not be able to win against the strong, and he would no longer have an umbrella to protect himself in the future. Furthermore, as Li Lingtian's maid and his woman, she would always side with Li Lingtian in everything. Right, young master, big brother sent me some news 2 days ago. It's very interesting. Qingling thought of the news that Qing Yuan had sent 2 days ago. There was a piece of interesting news. It was interesting to experts, but it didn't affect low-level warriors. What is it? Li Lingtian stretched his body before finally lying down on a recliner that he made when he had nothing to do. Enjoying the massage from Qingling's slender fingers, her face revealed a comfortable expression. It seems like the heavens patching route has appeared on the Cloudwood Peak. There are 3 sections of the route. One section was taken away by a mysterious powerhouse, and the other 2 sections are still in the hands of a 9th-level martial emperor. Furthermore, countless powerhouses are scrambling for this heavens patching route. Young master, what use do you think this heaven-nourishing root has? It's just a plant's root. Is there a need to risk your life to fight for it? Qingling revealed a puzzled expression. So many experts were actually here for a single root. She could understand if it was a competition for a heaven artifact or a magical pill, but it was definitely not worth it for a root. At the very least, she would not compete. What? Heaven-nourishing root. Li Lingtian sat up immediately with an excited expression on his face. He looked at Qingling seriously. His action startled Qingling. The usually steady young master was actually so excited when he heard about the heaven-nourishing root. Yes, Big Brother said that the people below received the news that it was the heaven-nourishing root. There are a total of 3 sections. Qingling didn't know what this heaven-nourishing root was used for. But since young master was so excited, it definitely wasn't simple. In her heart, young master didn't care about ordinary items at all because he was worth hundreds of billions and had countless treasures on him. His skills were also extremely powerful. Furthermore, he was a top-level spirit alchemist. The pills he refined were enough for him to use. Naturally, he did not need to be excited about other treasures. Then, he repeated the news of the heaven-nourishing root. You rest in the cave abode. This young master is going out for a while. This heaven-nourishing root is a necessary material for refining a Tier 6 medicinal pill. It is also a supplementary material. When refining a medicinal pill, adding a little heaven-nourishing root can increase the quality and tier of the medicinal pill. Moreover, this heaven-nourishing root is not only a material for a Tier 6 medicinal pill, but also a material for other medicinal pills. As long as it is a medicinal pill, adding the heaven-nourishing root will produce a shocking effect. If a martial artist obtains this heavens-patching root, he can refine his own physique and improve his martial soul. It can reduce the difficulty of breaking through the bottleneck. Li Lingtian gave a simple explanation. He only mentioned some simple effects, but the true power of the heaven-nourishing root was far more than that. As a pill refiner, if he were to give up on such a heaven-defying item, wouldn't it be a waste of his fortune? Young master wants to go out. Do you need Qingling to go with you? Qingling wanted to go out as well, but the powerhouses who were competing for the heaven-nourishing root were all martial emperors. There were even martial honors who were competing for it. If she went, she would only be a burden to Li Lingtian. You can cultivate in the cave. One will go out alone. Li Lingtian stood up and was about to leave as soon as he finished speaking. He had to get his hands on such a treasure. Qingling nodded obediently as she helped Li Lingtian tidy up his clothes. 5 days ago at Cloudwood Peak. Cloudwood Peak was a mountain range between Moonrise City and Cloudwood City. This mountain range belonged to the common territory of Moonrise City and Cloudwood City. This place was rich in spiritual energy, but very few people went to cultivate because martial artists could not obtain spiritual energy when they came here. The spiritual energy that appeared was absorbed by the trees, and the trees emitted spiritual energy. This cycle was so repeated that martial artists could not cultivate, but these trees were full of spiritual energy, almost becoming spirits. Countless trees that were over 10,000 years old could be seen everywhere. It was also the place where countless powerful demon beasts lived. On this day, auspicious clouds descended from the sky, and a strange sign appeared in Cloudwood Peak. Countless powerful beings rushed over. After waiting for a day, multicolored light flashed in the depths of Cloudwood Peak, and 3 trees with mysterious auras appeared. Each section of the tree was only 1 meter long, like a vine. Seeing these 3 sections of vines, countless experts recognized that this was the heavens-patching root. The appearance of the heavens-patching root had attracted countless experts to fight for it. Li Lingtian quietly left soliciting Moon City and quickly flew toward Cloudwood Peak. However, he didn't hurry on his way because such a treasure would definitely not be at the Cloudwood Peak if it was fought over by experts. As they flew, they asked around. Such a huge commotion would definitely not be unknown. As expected, Li Lingtian received news that one of the heaven-nourishing roots had landed in Pingyang City. Pingyang City was no ordinary city. It was a city belonging to one of the Azure Continent's top 10 super clans. Such a family was not a small family like Moonrise City. This family had existed for tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of years. The clan was extremely powerful, and the power of the entire clan was countless times stronger than that of Moonrise City. The Ping family, one of the 10 great families, was located in Pingyang City. This city was named after the Ping family. Soliciting Moon City was the size of Azure Continent, which was equivalent to the power of Tranquil Sun City. In the Ping family, martial grandmasters and martial emperors were everywhere, but there were more than 300 martial emperors and 20 martial honored realm experts in the Ping family. Li Lingtian could only shake his head at the thought of how such a powerful force was unshakable. He was in trouble. Strong enemies were everywhere, including the House of Storms and the Dishi family. They couldn't mess with the Ping family now. As he flew, he calculated. He was less than 10,000 miles away from Pingyang City. Forget it. Let's not talk about anything else. Just the martial emperor of the Ping family alone can crush me to death. It's better not to make enemies so easily. Li Lingtian looked into the distance. With his current cultivation base, it would only take him an hour to cover a distance of 10,000 miles. He could not provoke the Ping family, so he might as well not enter Pingyang City. If he went somewhere else, there would still be 2 pieces of the heaven-nourishing root. He sighed and quickly flew into the distance. Rumble! After flying for less than 2 hours, Li Lingtian hovered above a huge sea area with a look of horror on his face. Such a commotion was definitely a great battle between super experts. The place where the battle was taking place could be felt from thousands of miles away. This place was the territory of the Ping family. They did not expect that someone would dare to fight in the territory of the Ping family. His figure flashed and he quickly hid himself. He entered the sea area. He was at the 5 elements perfection, so he was like a fish in water when he entered the sea area. In the water, he could use his water martial soul to its fullest. His body shot through the sea like an arrow. In a moment, he arrived at the place where the battle was taking place. He concealed his spiritual sense and aura, hiding beside a sea beast and observing the situation in the sky. 4 9th-level martial emperors and a 1st-level martial honored realm expert were floating in the air. Opposite them was a 2nd-level martial honored realm elder. There was blood at the corner of the old man's mouth. It seemed that he was injured quite badly. The other 5 people's faces were also extremely solemn. The emperor weapons in their hands kept bombarding. Ping Haoji, hand over the heaven-nourishing root. It's useless to keep it with you. Dongfang Yunlong said loudly. The 4 9th-level martial emperors attacked together. For a moment they were on par with the 2nd-level martial honored realm experts. Moreover, he still had a trump card that he had yet to use. If he wasn't worried that Ping Haoji would destroy the heavens patching root, he would have used it long ago. Dongfang Yunlong, you must be dreaming. Do you know where you are? Ping Haoji said loudly. After countless battles, he had finally obtained the heavens patching root. Naturally, he would not give up so easily. Moreover, this place was the Ping family's territory. As long as he delayed for a while, the Ping family's experts would come. Thinking about the people in front of him, his heart was burning with anger. He had fought a great battle and defeated countless supreme experts to obtain the heaven-mending root, but these 5 people had been secretly attacking him. Pingyang City, haha. How much longer do you think you can delay? Dongfang Yunlong said loudly. His face turned gloomy and his lips opened and closed. No one knew what he was saying to the 4 of them. When their lips stopped moving, they stopped attacking as well. The attacks of the 4 9th-level martial emperors became even more intense. Although the 4 rank 9 martial emperors were powerful, they were just ants in front of a 2nd heaven martial honored realm expert. However, they could still stall for some time. After Dongfang Yunlong stopped, his face turned solemn. He drew a strange line in the air with his hands, causing the space to tremble slightly. Li Lingtian watched the battle in the sky from below the sea. He could hear the powerhouse's words clearly, and could only smile bitterly in his heart. He did not expect to meet a martial honor of the Ping family here. The news that the Ping family had obtained the heavens patching root was true, but the heavens patching root was not in the Ping family. Instead, it was with the martial honor of the Ping family. The person who spread the news was definitely not friendly to the Ping family. If they knew that the heaven-nourishing root was in the Ping family would be hunted down by countless experts. Li Lingtian had no choice but to conceal his aura completely when he noticed the situation in the sky. He could not participate this time. The wrath of the heavenly river. Dongfang Yunlong shouted softly. Li Lingtian immediately felt that something was amiss. His opponent had a water martial soul as well. If he used his water martial soul, he could no longer hide in the sea area. As expected, the ocean churned when Dongfang Yunlong unleashed the heavenly river's fury. The endless seawater formed a shocking pillar. Li Lingtian did not even have the chance to react before he was sucked into the water pillar. Chapter 280 Black and White Peerless. Chapter 280 Black and White Peerless. Eh? Dongfang Yunlong exclaimed in surprise. He had also discovered that there was a warrior inside his water column. However, this martial artist did not have the slightest aura. No aura, which was why he did not notice the existence of other people here during the battle. Li Lingtian could feel the destructive aura in the water column. The rage of the heavenly river was a martial honors trump card, so it was not to be provoked. Now he could only pretend to be dead. If he was found alive, he would be in trouble. He kept calculating in his heart. In this water pillar, if he did not want to be discovered, it was impossible for him to get out. As long as he moved and used any skill, the other party would notice. Rumble. In the middle of the sky and sea, the monstrous waves continued to gather, forming twisted water columns that continued to grow stronger. Water was soft, but at its peak it was also the most domineering attack in the world. When Ping Haoji saw the heavenly river's fury, he was also extremely shocked. He had finally realized what he was worried about. As expected, Dongfang Yunlong was in a hurry to make a move. He would not be able to wait for the Ping family's reinforcements to arrive. Divine Dragon Slash. After Ping Haoji negated the attacks of the 4 9th-level martial emperors, a destructive aura emanated from his body. A strange weapon appeared. The weapon carried a destructive pressure. With a casual wave of his hand, a light shadow slashed at the water pillar. The power of the light shadow directly split the sky into 2 halves, and in the blink of an eye, it arrived in front of the water pillar. The 2 shocking attacks collided fiercely, and a destructive force erupted in the air. Under the impact of this force, the 4 martial emperors spat out a mouthful of blood and were thrown out. The aftershock of the attacks of 2 Supreme Realm experts was something that a martial monarch realm expert could withstand. Rumble. Rumble. With a series of explosions, the Divine Dragon Slash's attack quickly split the water pillar apart. But the water pillar continued to fuse as if there was no end to it. However, Li Lingtian, who was in the water pillar, was shaken by the attacks from the 2 Supreme Realm powerhouses. If this continued, he would die in there. His face hardened. He had already offended countless powerful enemies. It was not a big deal to provoke the Ping family. 1 more debt was not too much and 1 less debt was not too little. At the thought of this, he circulated his true essence and executed the Ice Fire 9 Heavens. Ice Fire 9 Heavens. Level 3. Extermination. After the Ice Fire 9 Heavens reached the 3rd level, it took only an instant for the 2 Supreme Realm experts to realize the change in the sky when the skill was activated. He didn't expect that there would be other experts here besides him. By the time they reacted, it was already too late. Moreover, the 2 of them had already used their moves. It was impossible to retract them. The old strength had already been exhausted, and the new strength had yet to be born. Their faces revealed fear. A 4-colored beam of light followed the water pillar and crashed into Ping Haoji. Behind the icy fiery 9th heaven beam of light, Li Lingtian's body flashed and disappeared. The sea area was filled with the aura of extermination. This aura of extermination terrified the 2 martial honors and the 4 martial emperors. They did not expect that there would be such an overbearing aura in this world. I don't want to. Ping Haoji saw the aura of extermination coming towards him. The pillar of light continued to destroy the water pillar and the Divine Dragon Slash. This was the first time he had seen such a domineering attack. In front of this attack, a negative effect was produced in his heart. He didn't even have the reaction to dodge. Rumble. The shocking pillar of light directly broke through the divine dragon slash's attack and bombarded Ping Haoji's body. At the same time, a destructive crisis appeared behind him. A sharp and overbearing cold air was released, and his entire body was frozen. All. With a miserable cry, the pillar of light struck his body, and his body quickly lost its vitality. The cold air behind him also froze his entire body. Ping Haoji lost all signs of life as he screamed. His eyes were filled with fear and unwillingness as a young man in white appeared behind him. Dongfang Yunlong and the 4 9th-level martial emperors also saw the young man behind Ping Haoji. When they saw this young man, they felt a wave of fear and confusion. This young man did not have any cultivation at all, but he killed a 2nd-level martial honored realm expert in one strike. Although he had used his trump card in the white-robed young man's sneak attack, he also realized how terrifying the destructive power of this pillar of light was. If he encountered it, he did not know what treasure he would use to block it. Crash. An ear-piercing shattering sound rang out as Ping Haoji's body was instantly shattered into pieces. The pieces were no different from ice cubes. A storage pouch and a strange weapon fell into the hands of the white-robed youth. "Sir, aren't you being a little unreasonable? I've been risking my life for the heaven-nourishing root until now, but now you're taking it all by yourself." Dongfang Yunlong did not agree when he saw Li Lingtian take away the storage pouch and weapon. The young man before him was terrifying, but he was unwilling to let his scheming and risking his life to benefit someone else. "You want this heaven-nourishing root. You've been risking your life all this time, but if it's useful you still need people to join hands. I'm really ashamed of you." Li Lingtian completely ignored Dongfang Yunlong, who was a first heaven martial honor. However, after fighting for so long, he had exhausted a lot of his energy. Even if he did not defeat a martial honor, it would be easy for him to leave with his current cultivation and strength. "You damn it." Dongfang Yunlong's face turned red when he heard that. How could he still have any face when he was insulted in front of everyone? Not only did he snatch the heaven-nourishing root, but he was also humiliated. It was indeed unbearable for him. Moreover, this young man looked to be only 18 years old. He did not have any cultivation at all. He must have hidden his cultivation. He was a supreme realm expert. Why would he be afraid of a young man? Are you not convinced? Even if you don't like it, you better endure it. 2. Li Lingtian's body flashed as soon as he finished speaking. He flew away quickly without any room for negotiation. He had killed the Ping clan's revered martial artist. If he were to fight Dongfang Yunlong, he would be in trouble when the Ping clan's experts arrived. "Leave it for me." Dongfang Yunlong was completely enraged. He waved his hands again, and the seawater in the world quickly gathered, forming a 1,000-meter-tall wave. The wave was crystal clear like ice crystals. It was emitting a destructive aura, and the huge wave came crashing down on Li Lingtian in an instant. Li Lingtian could not help but tremble under the immense pressure as he was shocked. If he had used this move in the beginning, he would not have been able to leave the water pillar so easily, let alone kill Ping Haoji. "Jade Light Ruler, break!" He stretched out his hand, and a foot-long jade ruler appeared. Spiritual energy quickly gathered on the jade ruler, and a dazzling light appeared. The dazzling light gently slashed towards the shocking huge wave. Crash! The dazzling light of the jade light ruler entered the huge wave, and the huge wave was destroyed by the unbearable destruction. Immediately, the huge wave was quickly split into 2 halves and quickly dissipated. Li Lingtian did not stop at all as he quickly flew into the distance. "Damn it!" Dongfang Yunlong was shocked when he saw his powerful attack being broken in the blink of an eye. At the same time, he felt a trace of fear. This young man had used a heaven artifact right away. Although it was only a low-grade heaven artifacts were extremely rare in the Azure continent. Only martial honors had the chance to obtain it. This young man did not seem to have any cultivation, but his strength and methods were extremely terrifying. Coupled with his tone and heaven artifact, he did not dare to underestimate this young man. By the time he reacted, could it be that his figure was already in the sky? "Martial uncle, should we chase after them?" A ninth-level martial emperor asked Dongfang Yunlong in a low voice with a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth and a terrified look on his face. 2. I'm chasing your mother. Can you beat him? Dongfang Yunlong was instantly enraged. He had been suppressed by a young man. Just as he was worried that he had nowhere to vent his anger, someone sent him up. A loud slap was sent out, and the ninth-level martial emperor who asked the question was instantly stunned. Li Lingtian's body flashed rapidly, leaving Dongfang Yunlong far behind. As he flew, he sent a wisp of his soul consciousness into the divine dragon ring. He took out the storage bag he had just obtained and looked at it before sending his soul consciousness into it. That's right. A 1-meter-long heaven-nourishing root was lying inside. Not good. Killing intent. Li Lingtian was taken aback as he knew that this was not good. He had never seen such a murderous intent before. Moreover, this killing intent was obviously directed at him. In this vast sea, other than Dongfang Yunlong, who was a Supreme Realm expert, there was no other Supreme Realm expert. Even Dongfang Yunlong wouldn't give him such a terrifying killing intent. The only explanation was that the experts of the Ping family had come. Sure enough, 100 miles away, 2 middle-aged men were floating in the sky above the sea, like sculptures floating in the air. Other than killing intent, there was no longer any vitality or aura. For the first time, Li Lingtian felt a deep sense of dread. The other party had already blocked him from the front and he had no way out. If they retreated, there might be another super expert from the Ping family behind them. Black and white peerless. His body shot out and came to a place 10 miles in front of the 2 revered martial artists. He floated above the sea area and was only 1 foot away from the sea area. The true dragon's protective light shield covered his entire body. The light shield rose and fell with the sea water. Li Lingtian was shocked once again because the clothes of the 2 middle-aged men reminded him of the Ping clan's black and white matchless. Although he was in Moonrise City, the people under Qingyun had long left Moonrise City, so they knew a lot about the backgrounds and identities of some cities and experts. He Bai Wuxuang of the Ping family was a super expert of the Ping family. He was a rank 2 Supreme Realm existence. Although he was also a rank 2 Supreme Realm expert, he was almost invincible among those of the same rank. This was also what shocked him. Another thing that made him afraid was the cultivation technique and skill that black and white Wuxuang cultivated. In attribute, ordinary martial artists would accidentally fall for it and die without knowing how. Hand over the storage bag first, then follow me back to receive your punishment. The 2 middle-aged experts did not speak, but as soon as their sinister voices sounded above the sea, the world instantly changed. In an instant, the entire sea region became gloomy. At the same time, the sea region disappeared, and what appeared in front of them was a hellish world. Li Lingtian could feel his entire body turning cold. Even his ice soul martial soul felt extremely cold in this gloomy hellish world. Dark soul world. The 2 middle-aged men in front of him looked at each other with a cold glint in their eyes. Li Lingtian could not help but shudder when they looked at him. Chapter 281 Chapter 281 The Power of the Eye of the Divine Soul. Chapter 281 The Power of the Eye of the Divine Soul. The Dark Soul World was a spiritual world created by experts. The black and white peerless in front of him were experts of this path. Their martial souls were also of the Yin system, which was rare in the world. Yin martial souls were the same as demons. The netherworld was also a world, but it was rare to see the experts of the netherworld appear. The fact that there were no underworld cultivators did not mean that there were no people who practiced the underworld cultivation method. Similarly, martial artists with Yin martial souls could achieve twice the result with half the effort, by cultivating the underworld's cultivation method. Just now he had accidentally fallen for it, and entered the spiritual world of black and white Wuxuang. He should have known long ago that the 2 middle-aged men floating above the sea were not so simple, but he had forgotten about the attributes of the black and white matchless. You know quite a lot, but this time you can only stay here forever. Bag of holding. I'll take it back after I capture you. The gloominess in Wuxuang Hei's eyes intensified as he walked toward Li Lingtian step by step. The spiritual world was not a world. but a warrior's soul and divine sense were surrounded and entered into another spirit. If his soul and consciousness couldn't escape, then he would never have a soul and his body would just be a shell. At that time he would be at the mercy of others. The dark soul world is indeed powerful. But, Li Lingtian calmed himself down and the fear on his face disappeared. With a faint smile on his face, he watched as Wuxia walked toward him. However, just as Li Lingtian was about to burst out laughing, Wuxia stopped. The young man before him was too strange to have recognized his dark soul world. He didn't know what this young man was capable of. But what? Wuxia asked coldly. At this time the other party had already entered the dark soul world. Even a martial honor realm expert would not be able to escape, let alone a young man. After asking, he continued walking toward Li Lingtian. He did not believe that he could pull any tricks in his own world. However, all mental worlds are trash in front of me. I have the divine soul break. The smile on Li Lingtian's face did not fade as he spoke calmly. As he spoke, the smile on his face turned cruel. A three-petaled exquisite blood-red lotus appeared between his eyebrows, and a faint light shot out. The light had no power, but in the spiritual world, it was undoubtedly a bolt from the blue. 2. Not good, it's a soul attack. Bai Wuxia was shocked to death when he saw the change in Li Lingtian's glabella. To think that there was a powerhouse in this world who cultivated the divine soul attack. By the time he shouted, it was already over. Wuxia had already arrived before Li Lingtian and a ray of light struck Wuxia. Wuxia spat out a mouthful of blood, and blood flowed from his 7 orifices. His eyes revealed a terrified expression, as if he had seen a ghost. Rumble! With a loud explosion, the dark soul world was broken when Wuxia was attacked. The entire hell disappeared, and the sea surface did not change at all, as if everything just now was an illusion. The only change was that Wuxia spat out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were filled with spirit as if he had fallen seriously ill. His entire body was extremely weak, and his face was filled with fear. They were experts in the spiritual world, and no one understood the terror of the spiritual world. The two of them had cultivated in the dark soul world for hundreds of years. They had never thought that they would meet an expert with a terrifying soul and soul consciousness. The eye of the divine soul was undoubtedly the nemesis of the dark soul world. To the dark soul world, it was 1 in a billion chance to encounter its nemesis. Li Lingtian retracted his divine soul's eye. His heart was in turmoil, but everything before his eyes was calm as if nothing had happened. However, the danger was like wandering around the gates of hell. If other experts were tricked into entering the dark soul world that he had just entered, they would never be able to come out. Fortunately, he had mastered the eye of the divine soul, destroyed the dark soul world, and even injured Wuxia. All of this seemed to have happened a long time ago, but the real time had only been an instant. Why do you have the eye of the divine soul? Bai Wuxia looked at Li Lingtian in shock. The outcome of the battle was originally in their hands, but when he saw Li Lingtian trapped in the dark soul world, he felt contempt for him. There were at least 800 experts killed by the dark soul world. He never thought that he would be pecked in the eye by a wild goose after hunting wild geese all day. Powerhouses who cultivated the spiritual world naturally recognized Li Lingtian's eye of the divine soul. The eye of the divine soul was the most terrifying soul attack in the world. I've said before that a mere dark soul world is trash in front of me. Since you're here, then stay. Li Lingtian said coldly. With a flick of his divine consciousness, he activated the divine dragon ring, and the silver-winged flying dragon appeared in the air. The shocking demonic power pressure shocked black and white Wuxia once again. He did not expect that this young man not only had the eye of the divine soul, but also a powerful 6th-tier demonic beast. You hold him back. I'll kill him first. Li Lingtian transmitted his consciousness to the silver-winged flying dragon. The silver-winged flying dragon that had cultivated the true dragon's body barrier, and had its body tempered by dragon energy, was now a true dragon. Moreover, they could communicate with Li Lingtian, but outsiders would not know what they were talking about. Roar! With a shocking roar, the seawater in the sea area surged up, as if the world had been destroyed. Black and White Peerless was shocked by the roar. Li Lingtian was the same as well. He cursed in his heart. "Why are you shouting so loudly?" The silver wing flying dragon pounced directly at Bai Wuxia. Level 6 was equivalent to a first-level martial venerable. Facing Bai Wuxia, who was a second-level martial venerable, he lost in terms of realm. However, the silver wing flying dragon was a true dragon, the king of all demons and the king of the sky. In addition, he had cultivated the dragon clan's canon and grasped the dragon chi. His strength was different. Even if he was not a match for a second-stage Supreme Realm expert, he would not be defeated. Die! Li Lingtian's body flashed. Naturally, he would not allow Black and White Wuxia to join forces to attack the silver wing flying dragon. Ice, fire, and 9 heavens were unleashed in an instant. The third heaven, extermination. The destructive light beam shot out with the power of tyrannical extinction. Its target was He Wuxia. This He Wuxia was injured by his divine soul's sight. The injuries on his body were nothing much, but the injuries on his divine sense were more terrifying than anything else. He wanted the silver wing flying dragon to hold Bai Wuxia back, while he killed the injured He Wuxia. Then he would join forces to kill Bai Wuxia. The world is spinning. Naturally, Black and White Wuxia had seen through Li Lingtian's plan. Black Wuxia was about to unleash his attack to kill the silver wing flying dragon, but his expression changed when he saw the power of Li Lingtian's attack. This destructive light beam was even more terrifying than the divine soul eye. After the divine sense was attacked, the soul was damaged. It was not as easy to use attacks and treasures as before. He did not dare to face this attack easily anymore. When the forbidden attack was unleashed, the entire sea area was turned upside down. A destructive forbidden attack was hurled at Li Lingtian. Rumble! With a shocking explosion, the Black-White Peerless, the silver wing flying dragon, and Li Lingtian were drowned by the seawater. The seawater rose to a height of 1,000 meters. The destructive force of the seawater kept hitting Li Lingtian. With a flash, he was already floating in the air. The silver wing flying dragon and Bai Wuxia were also fighting at high speed. The silver wing flying dragon had also pulled away from the battle. As for He Wuxia, blood was flowing out of the corner of his mouth, and his face was pale. The attack earlier was not enough to hurt him, but the injury he received from Li Lingtian earlier was fatal. Now, in front of the ice fire 9 heavens, he was powerless to resist. Flying dragon's strength. Li Lingtian circulated his true essence and circulated dragon energy within his body. 2 wyverns roared out and attacked He Wuxia below. Rumble! With another shocking explosion, the flying dragon disappeared. In Li Lingtian's line of sight, He Wuxia's face was filled with black lines. He was furious, but he could only passively attack. Eye of the Divine Soul. Seeing this, he used the Eye of the Divine Soul again. The speed was beyond imagination. It was even faster than when he first used the Eye of the Divine Soul. This was the only way to kill He Wuxia. In front of a mental attack expert, using the Eye of the Soul was a relatively reckless decision, but it was also the time when one's strength could be best displayed. In a spiritual awareness attack, the strong would win and the weak would lose. However, this time, Li Lingtian did not attack but devoured the opponent's divine consciousness. Screams of pain could be heard. Due to the previous injuries, they could not even use their divine perception, and could only be devoured by Li Lingtian's Eye of the Divine Soul. Roar! Bai Wuxia was horrified to see Li Lingtian devour He Wuxia's divine consciousness. If this continued, his brother would perish. When Li Lingtian joined forces with the silver wing flying dragon, he would be doomed as well. However, just as he was about to help, the silver wing flying dragon roared and a terrifying demonic power smashed over. This demonic power was no longer ordinary power, but dragon energy. Rumble! With a shocking explosion, the seawater churned. Bai Wuxia's eyes revealed a look of horror. This silver wing flying dragon was actually using dragon chi. The chi of a true dragon. There were no true dragons in this world at all. Where did the true dragon chi come from? This was also something he could not imagine. Everything that happened when they met Li Lingtian today was beyond their imagination. The result of that was that they had been schemed against and had failed miserably. All. With a final weak scream, He Wuxuang's eyes became dazed as he looked at the battle in the sky in confusion. Sword howl, heaven and earth. When Li Lingtian saw this, he retracted his divine soul eye and with a flick of his divine consciousness, he swung the Tianyu sword casually. A shocking sword will filled the sea area and a destructive sword ray tore through the air. The space split into two halves, and the sword light landed on He Wuxuang's body without any suspense. He did not even react subconsciously when the sword light arrived. The sound of something being torn apart rang out. Following that, He Wuxuang's entire body was cut into two halves. The sword chi stirred the two halves of his body into pieces and instantly drowned them in the sea. Big brother. When Bai Wuxuang saw his elder brother being killed, he let out a mournful cry. Ignoring the silver-winged flying dragon's attack, he unleashed a devastating attack on Li Lingtian. It was a desperate fight to perish together with him. Chapter 282 Chapter 282 Mystic Moon Fire. Chapter 282 Mystic Moon Fire. Thunderclap wings dodge. Spatial imprisonment. Li Lingtian dared not resist when he saw Bai Wuxuang charging at him. With a flash of his thunderclap wings, he cast the space banner and the space distorted. He escaped Bai Wuxuang's divine consciousness and vanished into thin air. Rumble. The seawater surged up like the sky. Bai Wuxuang's attack missed, and he looked at the seawater with his two dazed eyes. He Wuxuang was killed and his attack missed. Behind him, the silver-winged flying dragon's destructive attack came. Puff! In his daze, the silver-winged flying dragon's attack landed squarely on his back, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. At this moment, a destructive spatial attack descended like the might of heaven. The wrath of the gods. Li Lingtian shouted coldly as the destructive lightning bolt swooped down and tore the space apart. Ice and fire rings. Bai Wuxuang woke up with a start. The threat of death had already shocked him to the extreme. The expression on his face was incomparably terrified, as if he had seen a ghost. A solemn look appeared in his eyes, and a magical halo appeared. The ring of light blocked the sky, causing the space to tremble. Ice and fire rings. When Li Lingtian saw the halo and heard Bai Wuxuang's voice, his heart skipped a beat. The divine wrath's attack weakened rapidly. Wasn't this ice and fire ring the same as his ice and fire ring? Boom! Even if the attack of God's wrath was weakened, this attack was still destructive. The ice and fire halo trembled as it blocked the attack of God's wrath from the heavens. However, the ice and fire halo was also beaten back to its original state. Ice flame. Li Lingtian's heart raced. If he were to use a shocking attack, Bai Wuxuang would definitely use the ice-fire halo to block it. He was interested in this halo and would regret it if it was damaged. The ice flame was the only one that did not possess offensive power. However, it had the power to burn and devour, as well as the power to freeze. When the ice flame was used, the entire sea area quickly froze. However, there was a destructive temperature on the surface of the sea. Swoosh! A light sound like a breeze drifted past. A fist-sized ball of ice flame shot towards Bai Wuxuang. Tisk! Seeing the arrival of the ice flame, Bai Wuxuang was also extremely shocked. When he encountered such a flame, he could only scatter it, or he would be finished. However, after the destructive attack, the icy flame did not disappear at all. Instead, it quickly surged towards Bai Wuxuang. The ice flame immediately burned Bai Wuxuang's body, and the magical power of burning and freezing continued to erode his true essence and mind. All. Mystic Moon Fire Sacrifice. A blood-colored crescent flame appeared. Immediately, the two flames collided. Li Lingtian's heart trembled when he saw the flame. The Mystic Moon Flame was the most mysterious flame of the underworld. It was extremely mysterious and wasn't as domineering as the Nine Suns' sacred flame, as strange as the icy ice flame, or as vicious as the Empyrean demon flame. However, it was mysteriously gentle. However, this gentleness was only for refining it. It could fuse with all things in the world and could also destroy all things in the world. The Mystic Moon Fire was rarely seen because the underworld only existed in legends. He did not expect Bai Wuxia to have mastered the mystic moon fire. Chi 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 chi. Above the sea, the two flames were constantly chasing and colliding with each other. For a moment there was no change in the outcome. Bai Wuxia was also shocked when he saw that his mystic moon fire had been entangled. He naturally understood the power of the mystic moon fire, but he did not expect that someone would use fire to fight against the mystic moon fire. Li Lingtian was extremely excited as he watched the clash between the mystic moon flame and the ice flame. If the two flames continued like this, one of them would definitely devour the other. However, he did not wish for such a thing to happen. Even if the ice flame devoured the mystic moon flame, he did not want to see it. If the mystic moon flame devoured the ice flame, he would also be in danger. He activated the heaven and earth creation cauldron with his divine consciousness. He pointed at the cauldron with his magic art, and the heaven and earth creation cauldron emitted a silver-white light. Yes! With a soft shout, the light enveloped the mystic moon fire. Instantly, two raging flames were pulled into the heaven-earth creation cauldron. At that moment, the icy frost flame had already separated. Li Lingtian pointed with one hand and the icy frost flame shot toward Bai Wuxia. The mystic moon fire disappeared and entered the heaven and earth creation cauldron. Before Bai Wuxia could react, his mystic moon fire was taken away. He was instantly shocked, but before he could be shocked, the icy ice flame had already arrived in front of him. All! With a shrill scream, the icy frost flame enveloped Bai Wuxia, turning him into an ice sculpture. His entire body was being refined by the icy frost flame. His true essence was rapidly flowing away, and his blood essence was also constantly burning. Tis! With a final soft sound, the ice flame floated in the air. Bai Wuxia had been completely burned by the ice flame and finally melted into the sea. Li Lingtian was neither happy nor excited about the death of the two revered martial artists, because he knew that his cultivation base was not enough to fight against a revered martial artist. Killing two Supreme Realm experts required careful planning, luck, and various heaven-defying skills and treasures. Only he could understand the danger involved. If he was not careful, he would be safe again. Following Wu Zun was like dancing on the tip of a knife. His divine sense moved and quickly locked onto the storage bags and treasures of the two Supreme Realm experts. Li Lingtian was still concerned about the ice-fire halo. He wondered how it was different from his own. After all, ice and fire elemental treasures were extremely rare, and now the two treasures had the same name. With the two storage bags in hand, he flew onto the silver-wing flying dragon and quickly flew into the distance. In the blink of an eye, the silver-wing flying dragon disappeared into the horizon. Pingyang City, Ping Family. The territory under the jurisdiction of Pingyang City was the size of 5 green continents. Below Pingyang City, there were more than 10 cities of different sizes. Each of these cities was several times larger than the capitals of the 3 great empires of Green Continent. The Ping family was the emperor of Pingyang City. Although they did not claim the title of emperor, the entire Pingyang City was under their control. There were no external forces in Pingyang City. All the forces belonged to the Ping family. Only some foreign martial artists were here to shine or trade. Even if they came here, they would be under the jurisdiction and restrictions of the Ping family. Furthermore, the Ping family was the only one here and controlled the resources of Pingyang City. Originally, the Ping family was the #1 family in Pingyang City. No one dared to provoke the Ping family. However, on this day, a Supreme Realm expert of the Ping family was killed within 50,000 miles of the Ping family. Moreover, the heavenly jewels of the two supreme revered martial artists that he had sent out had also shattered. Impudent! How dare you provoke my Ping family? What do you think my Ping family is? You even killed my Ping family's experts in our territory. The Ping family will be irreconcilable with you. Fang Tiantian was furious. As the leader of the Ping family, his cultivation had reached the 3rd level of the Supreme Realm. The Ping family had dominated Pingyang City for countless years. Even if their power was not as strong as before, they still had 26 martial honors and hundreds of martial emperors. He was unparalleled in Pingyang City. He did not expect someone to kill 3 Supreme Realm experts so close to the Ping family. This was the first time in 10,000 years that something like this had happened. It was a disgrace to the Ping family. Patriarch, this matter cannot be underestimated. He dared to kill the Ping family's people in the Ping family's territory, and he was so close to the Ping family. In less than 5 minutes he killed 3 revered martial artists. One can imagine the cultivation and strength of the other party. Ping Xiaotian pondered for a moment. His cultivation was considered one of the top existences in the Ping family. He was also a third-level Supreme Realm expert. When the Ping family encountered a disaster, even if there was some unhappiness between them, he would temporarily put it aside. In the past, they had always competed with Feng Tian for the position of the family head. The two of them had always been at odds, but now there was no gap at all. That's right. Even if there's a difference of 2 heavens between them, they won't die so easily in a Supreme Realm battle. Not to mention the Wuxia brothers. Although they are at the 2nd level of the Supreme Realm, none of us are their match. With their strength, skills, and cultivation techniques, even a level 4 Supreme Realm expert would be fooled, let alone a level 2 or level 3 Supreme Realm expert. Ping Longtian agreed with Ping Xiaotian's words. He was also extremely shocked. 3 revered martial artists of the Ping family were killed within a few minutes. Everyone felt uneasy. If it were them, they would also be killed if they encountered such a super expert. Moreover, if the Ping family's tens of thousands of years of foundation were to vanish into thin air, they would not have the face to see their ancestor even if they died. Now was the time to unite, or else they would be defeated one by one. The Ping family might seem like a giant, but once they were slowly eroded, they would also become a group of ants. However, you're courting death if you cause trouble in the Ping family's territory. No matter who it is, they have to pay the price for provoking the Ping family. 7th brother, you are good at tracking and movement techniques. I will leave this matter to you. Feng Tiantian pondered for a while. As the head of the family, he had to think for the family. Now that the Ping family was in trouble, he naturally could not let the Ping family's reputation be tarnished. As he spoke, he looked at a blue-clad middle-aged man in the hall. The blue-clad middle-aged man's expression did not change at all. He had a completely zombie face. Don't worry, family head. Although my strength is not as good as Wuxia and the others, I'm confident in my ability to escape. Leave this matter to me. I'll kill him to prove the dignity of my Ping family. Ping Hao stood up and cupped his fists at Feng Zhangji. Then he said a few words before turning around and walking out of the hall. Seemed slow, but it was actually fast. Every step seemed to cross a world. In 2 steps he disappeared from the hall. Although it seemed that Ping Hao was leaving step by step, no one could see how he left. There was no fluctuation in the space. Instantly, the expressions of the 20 over Supreme Realm experts in the hall changed continuously. They were also extremely surprised by Ping Hao's cultivation. Ping Hao's cultivation had long reached the peak of the 2nd heaven, but he had not broken through all these years. Instead, he had practiced his movement technique to the extreme. Chapter 283 Chapter 283 Wind Martial Spirit Expert. Chapter 283 Wind Martial Spirit Expert. Li Lingtian maintained a calm expression on his face as he flew, but his heart was in turmoil. If he went back like this, he would definitely be hunted down. At that time, he would not be able to stay in Moonrise City. If he provoked such a super family, he would be hunted down. Just now was an example. He had killed Ping Haoji, but in less than 10 minutes he was chased down by the other party. It was unknown what kind of secret technique he used to travel at this speed. Otherwise, he would not have crossed a distance of 20,000 to 30,000 miles in such a short period of time. After flying for a day, they finally left the sea area. However, Li Lingtian sensed that he might be targeted as soon as he left the sea area. All martial artists had this feeling, and it was also based on the so-called sixth sense. What a terrifying movement technique and speed! Li Lingtian was secretly alarmed. Although he could sense that someone was watching him, he could not locate the other party. Furthermore, no matter how he tried to dodge, he could not escape from the stalking. Even if he used the thunderclap wings and the spatial banner, he would not be able to shake off the other party's tracking. More importantly, the other party did not use his divine sense to lock onto him. If he was still so powerful without using his divine sense to lock onto him, one could imagine how powerful the other party was. As time passed, Li Lingtian felt extremely depressed. If this continued, his whereabouts would be known by the Ping clan. By then, he would be safe once a few powerful revered martial artists joined forces to kill him. Swoosh! His body flashed and he quickly flew towards the direction of the sea. This time he wasn't heading back but in another direction. This direction was the depths of the sea. This was the only thing he could do now. If he were to enter the land within a few million miles would be the Ping family's territory. At that time he would be targeted by billions of martial artists, and his whereabouts would be controlled by the Ping family at all times. Although it was dangerous in the sea realm, there were not so many experts chasing after them. At the very least, martial artists below the martial arts grandmaster level did not have the ability to pursue them. After all, the sea area was filled with danger. Even the powerful martial emperors and martial supremes did not dare to underestimate the sea area. There were countless sea beasts, unknown dangers and natural storms and thunderstorms. These wouldn't pose a threat to warriors outside, but in the sea area, these storms and thunderstorms would become the murderers of warriors. He's actually flying into the depths of the sea. Is he really not afraid of death? In the air, a surprised voice muttered to itself, and then a blue-clothed middle-aged man strangely appeared in the air. However, this figure was very blurry. It was like a wisp of air, and his entire person was one with the world. As he watched Li Lingtian's back, the surprise on Ping Hao's face intensified. He pondered for a moment before casting a spell. A pitch-black wooden token appeared in front of him. When the spell was cast on the wooden token, it emitted a trace of obscure aura. Pass it on. Following that, Ping Hao kept muttering something but no sound came out. Instead, it was transmitted into the wooden token. After the transmission was completed, he took out a drop of blood essence and fused it into the wooden token. The wooden token suddenly came alive and twisted. Gradually, the pitch-black wooden token turned into air and disappeared. With a flash of his body, he quickly flew into the distance. In the sea, it was the most difficult to follow a master. Because of the aura of countless sea beasts in the sea, the concealment of the sea water, and the storm, the aura of the person being followed was easily diluted. Li Lingtian waved his hand and a large spaceship floated in the air. In a flash, he floated up and the flying ship quickly flew into the distance. In the sea, if there was no flying ship to rest, even a martial monarch realm expert would be drowned in the sea. With a flying ship, it would only consume spirit stones, not true essence or mental energy. Li Lingtian chuckled. Since he was being followed, he would be able to take out his spaceship brazenly in the ocean. This way, he could preserve his spirit and quintessential essence. On the spaceship, Li Lingtian laid leisurely on a chair and enjoyed the scenery of the sea, its vastness and surging waves. The spiritual energy in this sea area was extremely dense, and the sky was blue. You're playing tricks with me. Ping Hao watched as Li Lingtian leisurely enjoyed his flying ship while he had to hide. His body flashed and turned into a gust of wind. He disappeared into the wind. They followed the spaceship from 100 miles away, afraid that Li Lingtian would notice them. For half a day, Li Lingtian remained lying on the ground. His divine consciousness had locked down a 10-mile radius to prevent the martial honor from making a move. However, half a day had passed and Li Lingtian was smiling in his heart. It was time for him to make his move. Half a day's time, even if the other party didn't use up his true qi, it would have worn down his spirit. Anyone who followed him for half a day would be furious. Rumble! Swoosh swoosh! A middle-grade spirit stone entered the power source of the flying ship. Immediately, the flying ship let out a rumbling sound and quickly shot into the distance. Li Lingtian's speed had more than doubled compared to the beginning, and his aura had become even thinner. Ping Hao, who was at the back, was stunned when he saw Li Lingtian's spaceship accelerating. At this moment the space distorted. Ping Hao was confused when he saw this distortion. However, just as he was feeling puzzled, a destructive attack came at him at an extremely fast speed. It was only 100 meters away. Ping Hao's expression changed drastically at this speed and distance. He could not imagine that this trace of spatial distortion was caused by a martial artist because there were very few experts in this world who could control space. If a martial artist teleported, there would also be spatial fluctuations. However, the distortion just now did not have the slightest aura or fluctuation. This puzzled him. By the time he reacted, the attack had already arrived in front of him. Split! Ping Hao shouted. Facing such an attack, there was no way he could block it. If he was prepared, he would not have taken it to heart. His true essence moved, and the sound of the wind rang out. His entire person disappeared, drifting in the air like a breeze. Boom! A shocking explosion sounded, and the air trembled. The attack missed. Not good. Li Lingtian was astonished to see that his opponent was able to dodge his sneak attack so easily. Seeing the other party disappear, a bad feeling appeared in his heart. Just as he shouted, a destructive aura swept over from the surroundings at an unimaginable speed. Thunderclap wings. The thunderclap wings flashed, but it was already too late. This destructive aura swept over from all directions. Before he could dodge, the destructive attack struck his body. The air was like a sharp blade, and the light shield of the true dragon was cut in the blink of an eye. He spat out a mouthful of blood and fell into the sea. Storm! A gloomy voice sounded in the sky, and a storm swirled down into the sea. The whirlwind formed a 100-meter-wide tornado that quickly crashed down on the spot where Li Lingtian had fallen. Even the sea was whirling. Chi. The storm in the vortex was even more terrifying than a sharp blade. Without the light shield of the true dragon's body protection, the wind directly tore through his body. Even if he cultivated the true dragon's body protection, his physique was incomparably strong. However, in front of this strong wind, there was no resistance at all. The strong wind was everywhere and there was nothing to resist. Ice Soul Martial Soul. 1,000 miles of ice. Li Lingtian's body continued to tear apart. He was horrified as he circulated his true essence to the maximum and unleashed his Ice Soul Martial Soul. A domineering 1,000 miles of ice blasted downwards. Above was the destructive storm vortex, and below was the sea water. It was even more domineering and advantageous to freeze 1,000 miles in the sea water. Suddenly, a shocking cold air surged out from the sea, instantly forming a huge glacier. He quickly sank into the glacier. 3,000 weak waters shapeless. He chanted the movement incantation, and his body passed through the glacier and entered the sea again. The glacier was quickly crushed by the storm. The moment Li Lingtian left the glacier was completely crushed as well. He disappeared into the sea as if he had turned into seawater. In the air, Ping Hao's body appeared strangely, and he had a surprised look on his face. The storm he had cast had not killed his opponent, and he had actually disappeared without a trace. The 1,000 miles of ice instantly formed a glacier that was several miles wide. This way it blocked the speed of his storm attack. The wind element was known for its speed, and its attacks were also known for their speed. Moreover, the wind element was omnipresent, and it was a mysterious attribute outside of the 5 elements. The clouds were formless, and the wind was unfixed. The martial souls of the divine martial continent came in all kinds of shapes and sizes. At the same time, they were extremely magical and unpredictable. Looking at the seawater, he quickly extended his divine sense. A mere martial arts grandmaster was actually so arrogant in front of a martial honor. Even though the two of them had only exchanged blows for a split second, Ping Hao had already figured out Li Lingtian's cultivation realm. He was shocked beyond words that a martial arts grandmaster could be so powerful. In the depths of the sea, Li Lingtian did not dare to make a single move. He did not dare to reveal his aura or true essence. This powerful martial honors cultivation base was not inferior to black and white wushuangs. The last time he killed black and white wushuang, it was luck. His divine soul eyes had exceeded their expectations, which was why he restrained them. Now he had no advantage at all. Even his sneak attack had not succeeded. Just like that, the two of them stayed in the depths of the sea and in the sky. Neither of them left and continued to waste time. True dragon body protection. Flying dragon's strength. As time passed, Li Lingtian thought of countless ideas, but he rejected them one by one. In the end, he thought of the dragon energy. The dragon energy belonged to the demon energy. If he used the dragon energy, he might be able to fool the other party. At the same time, the silver-winged flying dragon appeared in front of him and quickly swam into the distance. Eh? He was surprised again, but he didn't attack immediately. As the aura below was demonic power, he extended his divine consciousness downwards. A gigantic demonic beast was swimming around, but there was no trace of Li Lingtian's aura. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.